Tanggal 4 Mac 2016 adalah satu tarikh yang tidak mudah dilupai oleh rakyat Malaysia. Tarikh ini adalah tarikh di mana perkara-perkara yang kita ingat mustahil sebelum ini telah berlaku. Pada tarikh ini kita lihat ahli politik DAP dan juga Parti Amanah Rakyat duduk sebaris dengan ahli politik daripada Parti Islam se-Malaysia. Kita juga telah melihat Puan Maria Chin dan Dato Ambiga duduk bersama-sama dengan Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. Dan perkara yang paling mustahil sekali yang kita ingat tak akan berlaku, iaitu yang paling mengejutkan, saudara Hishamuddin Rais dari pelbagai ideologi dan parti dan pelbagai NGO telah menandatangani satu kesefahaman demi kesejahteraan negara. Musuh tradisi menjadi kawan, seteru menjadi sekutu. Dan seperti kita semua tahu, reaksi terhadap deklarasi ini begitu banyak. Ada yang menyambut baik, ada yang sinis, dan ada juga yang marah dan kecewa. Bagi mereka yang telah menurunkan tanda tangan, lebih lagi barisan kepimpinan parti politik pembangkang dan juga masyarakat madani atau civil society, kita juga lihat banyak tuduhan yang dilemparkan. Ada yang berkata bahawa mereka ini oportunis, ada yang berkata mereka ini hipokrit, dan juga ramai yang berkata bahawa mereka yang menandatangani deklarasi rakyat ini telah tersasar dari perjuangan mereka. Itu orang kata. Jadi pada malam ni kita nak dengar apa yang mereka kata. Kita ada di hadapan kita di sini 6 orang panelis daripada masyarakat madani dan juga parti politik. 6 orang yang telah menandatangani deklarasi rakyat dan 6 orang yang saya fikir kita tak perlu perkenalkan sebab kita memang dah kenal mereka. Dan malam ni kita nak dengar daripada mulut mereka sendiri mengapa mereka membuat keputusan untuk menandatangani deklarasi rakyat. Forum dan perbincangan kita akan bermula dengan ucapan pendek daripada ahli panelis kita. Pendek tu dalam 5 minit. Saya harap mereka dapat tepat pada masa 5 minit sebab kita nak beri peluang pada orang ramai untuk berinteraksi sebenarnya. Jadi dalam 5 minit, kemudian mereka beri pandangan mereka dalam bahasa Melayu ataupun bahasa Inggeris, dan kemudian barulah kita akan buka acara ni kepada orang ramai untuk mengajukan apa-apa soalan ataupun pandangan. Okay. Jadi tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, saya menjemput panelis pertama kita, iaitu saudari Cynthia Gabriel untuk memulakan forum.
Terima kasih saudara-saudari. Nama saya Cynthia Gabriel. Saya memang terlibat dalam kerja hak asasi manusia dan membanteras rasuah sudah banyak tahun ya. Bukan muda lagi, tapi harap nampak muda. Dengan izin, I would like to just make a short presentation in English, and it's going to be very direct, very simple, because I hope that my being here today is not one that's going to defend my decision of signing the Citizen Declaration, but the reason I'm here today is to actually encourage each and every one of us here and many more who are watching on Ubah TV, on Media Rakyat, on various other portals to come forward, put your name on the Citizens Declaration. Now, the reasons I took that step, it wasn't an easy decision as a human rights activist, as an anti-corruption activist, as someone who has followed a lot of the politics from, say, maybe the time of Reformasi. So we all know the infamous crackdown of the ISA. We all know the incarceration of Anwar Ibrahim. We all know the history. But the signing of the Citizens' Declaration is not about forgiving or forgetting what happened. The signing of the Citizens' Declaration is a powerful statement that today we are really in uncharted territory. We are today in a situation that we have never been before. We have never had a sitting Prime Minister investigated by no less than 6 countries. We have never had a Prime Minister, not just in Malaysia but anywhere else, that had 2.6 billion banked into his private accounts. We have never had a Prime Minister who had been recommended for charges to be placed against him. Now, we don't know how many charges, how far it's true, but we know that MACC had made some very, very serious recommendations for punitive action to be taken. We also know Bank Negara had recommended for punitive actions to be taken. So my message is just very clear. We are really in very, very uncharted times, in unprecedented times in which it's very frustrating, it's devastating when we are daily on the work to advocate human rights, promote good governance. We're at a dead end. Now, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but unfortunately there isn't a viable platform in which Malaysian citizens can depend on an alternative political coalition and so on to get us out of this mess. So for me, this cross-party alliance, yes, it comes with risk. Yes, we don't know where it's going to take us, but the only way we know it's going to work is if we all come together. Come together means put your name on the Citizens' Declaration. Sign it. If you haven't done so today, do it online. If you don't want to know, you don't want other people to know that you signed it, do it online. If you want to make a statement, do it here today. Now, this is the only way for us to move forward, because all our public institutions have already been damaged, destroyed by the current system, by the system previously, by Dr. Mahathir, and the only hope rests with us. We're the only ones that can actually make a difference. So if we get 5 million signatures and we say enough is enough, we want you, Prime Minister, to step down because we have lost confidence in you, this is the only way we can get our members of parliament to act. This is the only way we can actually find a way to legitimately get Najib, our Prime Minister, to step down. So I'm willing to take the risk, and I'm saying here today that I have lost confidence in the administration that is here today. Now, I don't need to remind everybody that we have had people who have faced detention under SOSMA, mainly for blowing the whistle. We have had travel bans on members of parliament. We have had media closure. You don't anymore have access to the Malaysian Insider, in case some of you haven't opened the website for a while. It's gone. It's closed. We have had so many blogs to Sarawak Report, to Asia Sentinel, to various other channels that actually expose and blow the whistle on corruption. So today, I'm telling you that it is dangerous to be a whistleblower. It is dangerous to be a human rights defender. So surely we don't want to live in a country like that. We want the democracy to be returned to us. So signing the Citizen Declaration must only be the first step. We have to give life to the document. We have to take it to the kampong. We have to try as much as we can to get as many friends, as many relatives, as many Malaysians to sign on to the declaration. Thank you.
Terima kasih Saudari Cynthia. Seterusnya saya ingin menjemput pengerusi Bersih 2.0 iaitu Puan Maria Chin Abdullah untuk berkongsi pandangannya.
I just want to ask, is it better to speak in English or Bahasa? Oh, English. Okay. Although I prepare in Bahasa. Thank you very much for coming. We are very glad that you actually made the effort to come. The purpose of this town hall meeting is really to answer some of the questions, but we also want to have the way forward. Because let us be clear, this declaration, it does not belong to Mahathir, does not belong to any of the signatories, but it should belong to the citizens. Yeah. The motivation, I only have 3 motivations as to why I want to sign this declaration. First is, in any war, there can only be one enemy. And I think that we all know who is the enemy. Najib is not personal, but he symbolizes the corruption that is happening in this country. He symbolizes the wrong and abuse of power in this country. He also symbolizes all the repressive laws that are now being used against the civil society, against any opposition, any questioning of the policies that Najib is implementing. And so therefore, Najib has to be removed because it is a crime. We cannot sit down and say that, never mind, let him commit the crime. It is like letting a thief into your house and say, never mind, let him steal. We cannot do that anymore. If we love this country and we want to save this country, we have to get rid of Najib. Second motivation is that it is, to me, a strategic alliance. We have tried many means to actually try to change the system, the corrupt system, but most of our efforts have actually come to a stone wall. Okay, what have we tried? We have tried engaging with them, writing letters to them to say, meet us, to talk about it. We have sent memorandums. We have actually gone to the streets 4 times. And the last time we actually had a huge turnout to show that, the people are really mad and very, very angry with what is happening to the system. We even have a vote of no confidence, and this time we have 2 attempts. And we actually did not get through our vote of no confidence. We also tried to block the budget, and we also did not get through. So we have actually tried. And there is a sense of despair as to what else can we do. And I think that this, we have to see it as a strategic political alliance where it is temporary. Let us not forget, nor should we actually forgive, but let us remember our main goal is really this strategic alliance should bring about a better Malaysia. It is not just about removing Najib, and that was what Bersih 4 was all about. I have always said it's not about removing Najib, it is all about the institutional reform, because we know that whichever leader that comes in, if they still follow the corrupt system, it will not have any change. 10 years, 20 years, we will still be talking about corruption, abuse of powers, and so forth. So therefore, this is an alliance that can actually give us some hope that if we remove Najib, there is that possibility for us to push for institutional reform. And that's where each and every one of you actually play an important role. Because if we have the numbers and we show the government and we show the political parties, whether they are Barisan Nasional or opposition, that we have the support, they will have to change. And that is the power of the people. That is why we have to support this alliance. The third motivation is really about us. What do we want out of this declaration? The declaration to me is just pieces of paper. Yes, it is not the best pieces of paper, but it is after that, what do we do with this piece of paper that is most important, because we have actually gone to the streets, we got beaten up, we got shot by tear gas, we got shot by the police, we got beaten up and so forth. That is not for nothing. That is really because we all want institutional reform. And that is the motivation, that this declaration, this alliance will give us that way, the pathway to actually open up the opportunity to bring about reform. And we have to take this opportunity now. Some people say, why don't you join later? But friends, if we did not go in, I feel that, we would have lost that opportunity. There may be differences over that, but I feel that, we have to actually take that political stand and go in and then demand. Yeah, we are now in a position to demand that besides Najib coming down, we want reform because we want a better Malaysia. So those are my three motivations, and I really hope that we will have a good discussion on that. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih Puan Maria Chin. Seterusnya saya ingin menjemput ahli politik pertama yang ditahan di bawah SOSMA, iaitu Datuk Seri Khairuddin Abu Hassan untuk memberikan pandangannya.
Terima kasih saudara pengerusi. Yang berhormat saudara Lim Kit Siang, Dato Ambiga, Puan Maria, abang saya Hishamuddin Rais, Cynthia. Seterusnya kepada para hadirin hadirat yang saya hormati. Ini merupakan kali pertama untuk saya berada di sini untuk town hall meeting, dan insya-Allah izinkan saya berkongsi sedikit pengalaman dengan tuan-tuan yang berada di Dewan ini pada malam ini. Para hadirin, seperti mana yang diperkatakan oleh dua orang tokoh panel kita tadi, mengapa kita harus sokong deklarasi rakyat? Deklarasi rakyat ini pada hakikatnya adalah milik rakyat, dari rakyat dan hak rakyat untuk rakyat. Bukan milik Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad ataupun sesiapa pun. Nah, waktu kita, niat kita untuk wujudkan deklarasi rakyat ini adalah semata-mata untuk nak selamatkan Malaysia daripada terus jatuh tersungkur. Para hadirin yang saya hormati, kita tengok keadaan negara kita pada hari ini, kita tengok keseluruhan institusi di tanah air kita pada hari ini dinodai dan dicemari oleh Perdana Menteri. Beliau telah menyalahgunakan kuasa untuk bertindak bagi membersihkan imej dia secara salah guna kuasa. Ini amat terserlah kepada keseluruhan rakyat di tanah air kita. Tuan-tuan, lihat dalam kes saya, dalam isu saya. Kenapa saya bertindak? Kenapa saya membuat pelbagai laporan polis ke atas syarikat 1MDB di dalam negara dan di beberapa negara di luar negara? Kerana saya tidak mahu bersubahat dengan kemungkaran. Saya adalah bekas naib ketua UMNO bahagian Batu Kawan. Saya dipilih oleh rakyat. Apabila saya memenangi jawatan naib ketua bahagian, artinya saya harus pegang amanah ini antara manusia dengan Tuhan dan manusia sesama manusia. Saya harus bersikap amanah dengan tuan-tuan sekalian. Kerana saya nak jadi warga negara yang bertanggungjawab, saya nak jadi pemimpin yang baik dan rakyat yang baik. Atas dasar inilah tuan-tuan, saya berjuang secara habis-habisan untuk menentang segala bentuk kemungkaran di dalam kes 1MDB. InsyaAllah, regardless what going to happen to me. Tuan-tuan para hadirin, saya buat 7-8 laporan polis ke atas penyelewengan syarikat 1MDB di tanah air kita. Tuan-tuan lihat apa jadi pada hari ini. Saya sendiri tidak tahu apa statusnya pada hari ini. Saya tak tahu sama ada PDRM siasat ataupun tidak siasat. Saya buat 3 laporan terhadap Suruhanjaya Pencegahan Rasuah Malaysia. Tetapi kita bersyukur kerana akhirnya kita ada nampak sedikit kemajuan bagi pihak SPRM. Dah mula nampak mereka dah mula nak bertindak. Dan apabila saya tidak mempunyai apa-apa pilihan, sekiranya saya tahu saya mempunyai bukti bahawa berlakunya pengubahan wang haram berlaku di luar negara dengan menggunakan bank-bank daripada Switzerland dan Amerika Syarikat, sudah pastilah saya terpaksa terbang ke luar negara untuk membuat 5 laporan polis di 5 negara di luar negara. Saya terbang ke Switzerland, saya terbang ke London, saya terbang ke Singapura, saya terbang ke Hong Kong, dan saya terbang ke Perancis, dan hari yang saya nak terbang ke Amerika Syarikat, New York, malangnya saya ditangkap oleh pihak polis. Tetapi kita bersyukur kerana pada hari ini kita lihat khususnya negara Switzerland, tuan-tuan, Peguam negara Switzerland telah mengeluarkan satu kenyataan mengesahkan bahawa sejumlah RM16.8 bilion duit 1MDB telah diselewengkan. Macam mana polis kata tidak ada bukti? Macam mana Tan Sri Apandi Peguam negara kata tidak ada bukti? Sebab itulah saya terpaksa membuat laporan polis ke atas Peguam negara, dan sebab itulah saya terpaksa mengambil tindakan undang-undang ke atas Peguam negara dan membuat laporan SPRM ke atas Peguam negara. Saya sedang buat judicial review untuk challenge segala keputusan yang telah dibuatkan oleh Peguam negara untuk membersihkan Najib. Kononnya Najib tidak bersalah dalam isu kes wang derma 2.6 bilion dan wang RM42 juta dari syarikat SRC yang masuk ke dalam akaun peribadinya. Saya ikut saluran undang-undang. Bila saya terbang ke luar negara, tuan-tuan, saya bawa peguam saya, Matthias Chang. Saya kata dekat peguam saya, make sure whatever that I lodge abroad, you please make sure that it is in accordance with the rule of law. Sebab itu saya bawa peguam saya ke luar negara untuk menemani saya, untuk menjaminkan bahawa semua laporan polis yang saya buat di luar negara mengikut asas undang-undang. Tetapi tuan-tuan, apabila saya pulang ke tanah air, saya ditangkap dan didakwa di bawah SOSMA. Apakah saya ini pengganas? Saya ambil tindakan undang-undang, buat laporan polis semata-mata untuk nak menyelamatkan wang negara dan wang rakyat daripada diselewengkan. Dan saya dituduh oleh Ketua Polis Negara kononnya, saya cuba sabotaj ekonomi negara Malaysia. Adakah asasnya, tuan-tuan para hadirin? Saya buat laporan polis untuk nak lawan rasuah dan kemungkaran, untuk nak lawan penyelewengan. Saya dituduh sabotaj ekonomi negara dan ditangkap, didakwa di bawah Akta SOSMA, Akta Anti-Terrorism Act. Akhirnya, saya ditahan di lokap Dan Wangi selama 24 hari dan saya ditahan di penjara Sungai Buloh selama 5 minggu, iaitu sebulan seminggu. Dan hari ini, tuan-tuan tengok sikap Najib Tun Razak. YB Lim Kit Siang ada di sini. Najib Tun Razak ni, dia ni bernasib baik kerana berada di bumi Malaysia. Kalau Najib Tun Razak berada dalam parlimen di luar negara, tuan-tuan, he could have been impeached. Dia tipu parlimen sebanyak 2 kali. Pada tahun lepas, bulan Mac 2015, apa kata Najib di dalam parlimen? Najib memberi jawapan bertulis dalam parlimen mengatakan part of the money redeemed from Cayman Island amounting 1.103 billion USD in form of cash has been deposited and being kept in BSI Bank in Singapore. Akhirnya, tuan-tuan tengok apa pengesahan Bank BSI di Singapura dan apakah pengesahan Monetary Authority Singapura. Mereka mengatakan tidak ada duit dalam bentuk tunai yang disimpan oleh 1MDB di dalam bank BSI. Akhirnya Najib terpaksa pindah kenyataan tersebut dan katanya kononnya jumlah yang disimpan itu adalah dalam bentuk unit. Kita tanya Najib lagi, unit apa? Apa yang ada dalam syarikat Brazen Sky yang membuka akaun tersebut di dalam bank BSI Bank di Singapura? Hingga ke hari ini tak boleh jawab. Dan baru-baru ini, pada pembukaan parlimen yang terbaru, tuan-tuan, sekali lagi Najib memperbodohkan rakyat. Najib menipu rakyat di dalam parlimen. Najib kata kononnya syarikat SRC tidak tahu menahu bahawa duit 42 juta itu dimasukkan ke dalam akaun peribadi dia. Ini bercanggah dengan kenyataan Peguam Negara. Peguam Negara sudah mengesahkan bahawa duit 40 juta ringgit itu dimasukkan dalam akaun peribadi Najib melalui akaun SRC. Cuma kata Peguam Negara, tidak ada bukti yang Najib menyuruh syarikat SRC untuk memasukkan wang tersebut dalam akaun dia, dan sebab itulah Najib dibebaskan. 2 kali dia menipu parlimen dan akan mengheret dia ke mahkamah. I would like to challenge Najib Tun Razak. Kalau dia berani, tuan-tuan, kalau dia berani, tolong datang ke mahkamah untuk membersihkan nama dia. Itu adalah platform yang terbaik untuk Najib membuktikan kepada 30 juta rakyat Malaysia bahawa beliau bersih dan beliau tidak bersalah. Kita sudah bersedia untuk berhadapan dengan Najib di mahkamah. Oleh itu, tuan-tuan, sokongilah deklarasi rakyat. Tuan-tuan, ketepikanlah semua apa yang diperkatakan oleh pemimpin-pemimpin UMNO, kaki bodek minda lemah otak udang. Mereka kata kononnya Dr. Mahathir berkolaborasi dengan Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang, tuan-tuan. Siapa dia Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang? Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang tidak pernah terima duit 2.6 bilion. Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang tidak pernah rasuah. Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang tidak ada skandal, tuan-tuan. Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang tidak pernah curi duit 1MDB dan sebagainya. Jadi, tuan-tuan, Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang 1,000,000 kali lebih baik daripada Najib Tun Razak. Oleh itu, tolaklah Najib Tun Razak. Sekian, tuan-tuan, saya serahkan majlis ini kepada panel-panel yang lain. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Datuk Seri. Seterusnya, saya ingin menjemput pemikir, aktivis dan buat masa ni orang bebas, Saudara Hishamuddin Rais.
Terima kasih, ini peguam saya ya. Kalau saya masuk jail, salahkan dia lah. Okey, saudara ahli panel, kawan-kawan sekalian, kami diberi 5 minit. Saya sebagai warga negara yang bertanggungjawab, I will try to speak 5 minutes. Okey, seperti kata pengerusi tadi, memang saya lah yang paling banyak mendapat sumpah seranah. I'm the person who receiving all the shit after I sign. As I was leaving the hall, shit start flowing into my telephone. You know. And the worst part, some of my best friend, even my anak buah, my nephew and nieces were against. Kenapa Acip cakap dengan Maha Fir'aun? Yes. We used to call him Maha Fir'aun, we used to call him Maha Zalim, yes. But then, things change. Nothing stays as it is. That's why I'm trying to tell you, I have come out with the idea of United Front. My dear friend, citizens of PJ, fellow middle classes, citizens that speak Englishes, and then, so let me tell you, bulan 2 tahun lepas, saya telah menulis, I've written a theoretical analysis on the theory of United Front. Mind you, it is February 20015. I have counter-proposed the move. Cara terbaik ialah melakukan penggalangan United Front to create a very broad United Front. I have been talking about this for almost a year. Therefore, it is nothing new. Yes, there is a huge confusion. Why? Those people who are against Mahathir, those people who call him Zalim, let me tell you, on that day, there is Tian Chua, there's Lim Kit Siang, there's Mat Sabu, there's Mahfuz, there's Hishamuddin Rais. 5 of us have been detained by the ISA, none other than by Mahathir Mohamad. But for me, did I forget the experience of Komuniti? No, I love Komuniti. It gives me creative production. It gives me creative talent to create. Yes, we will not forget the rest. But as it is, I've also written last week, jikalau, if tomorrow the Japanese, Singapore, Indonesia, or even Pulau Maldives come and attack Malaysia, I will stand beside Najib Razak. This is the theory of United Front. My friend, the theory of United Front. This is nothing new. This is not from the mind of Hishamuddin Rais. This is nothing new. In the Second World War, you see the fat cigar smoking Churchill, the mustache of Hitler, the mustache of Stalin and Roosevelt. They sat down together in Yalta and signed. They are all enemy. One was from the socialist bloc, the other two was from the capitalist bloc. They were against fascism. This is United Front, my friend. My friend, for all of you historically, particularly the Chinese who know, Mao Zedong, isteri dia kedua, ditangkap oleh Chiang Kai-shek, dibunuh oleh Chiang Kai-shek. Tetapi Mao Zedong mengadakan United Front dengan Chiang Kai-shek untuk melawan siapa? Jepun. Is it? Remember that. Or you are too young to remember the history or too lazy to read the history book. Either way, I'm telling you, that is a fact. Saudara, mari kita kembali ke tanah Melayu. Parti Komunis Melaya melawan British. British melawan Parti Komunis Melaya. The Communist Malayan Communist Party against the British against the Communists. These are for all the foreigners who are here, so that they know the historical fact about Malaysia. What happened when the Japanese came? They were having negotiation. They were conducting United Front. Let me tell you, where was the weapon that was given to Ching Peng and Rashid Mahidin? Who flown them? Who air parceled them into the jungle of Perak? None other by the British MI5 and MI6. This is historical. Therefore, bila Hishamuddin Rais menandatangani pada 4 Mac lalu, bukan sesuatu yang menakjubkan, bukan sesuatu yang pelik. Tak perlulah mengutuk, tak perlulah flying shit flying around, because it has been done. Telah dilakukan, it's been done by our forefather. The problem is that, particularly, terutama sekali, the Malays, they are lazy thinkers. Pemalas membaca buku, pemalas membaca sejarah. They have no ideas. Therefore, I blame their laziness. Dia malas membaca buku, dia kata, Hishamuddin Rais tu tak sedar ke dulu panggil Mahathir itu Maha Fir'aun, sekarang apa hal dia? Dia duduk sebelah dia tu bukan main tepuk tangan ke? Yes, I was so happy, I was so pleased, I was so happy, I was so pleased, I was jumping around, because at this stage of our historical context, our main enemy, none other than Najib and Rosmah. Therefore, tujukan hanya satu sasaran saja. In a war, you do not open so many fronts. There's not opening so many fronts. No, just one guy, one aim untuk menyingkirkan Najib Razak. Therefore, I hope, saya berharap siapa yang kamsi-kamsa kata French tu like this like that, tak sure lagi betul ke Mahathir ni zalim, ini UMNO, siapa jadi, no. Sign this thing, because this is yours. It doesn't belong, as Maria said, doesn't belong, tidak dimiliki oleh Tun Mahathir Mohamad. Ini adalah deklarasi rakyat Malaysia untuk menjatuhkan Najib Razak. Terima kasih banyak-banyak.
Terima kasih Saudara Hishamuddin Rais. Baiklah, seterusnya saya ingin menjemput Ahli Parlimen Gelang Patah yang berhormat Saudara Lim Kit Siang untuk memberi pandangannya.
Thank you, Shahrizad. Firstly, pengerusi and distinguished panelists, I want to begin by cakap tahniah kepada Saudara Khairuddin, oleh kerana bukan sahaja dia mangsa on MTV, tetapi hari ini dengan saudari Anina dan Tun Mahathir ada mencatat sejarah undang-undang dengan kes 2.6 billion versus 2.6 billion. Dan saya haraplah dengan kes ini kita boleh dapat hasil. Tadi kita dengar daripada saudara Hishamuddin, and it's something I read just now. Dan somebody who call on the people not to be hostage of the past, not to be hostage of the past, to transform themselves into new men and new women who are fit instruments for the creation of a new nation. Who said that? Who said that? Nelson Mandela. "27 years, 10,000 days, Robben Island and other places." And he can make such a statement, have such a vision, and the examples that Hishamuddin has mentioned. Don't you think we should do something? Why are we doing this? Because we are patriots of Malaysia. You and I, you're here tonight because you are patriots, you love this country, you want to save this country. In fact, for a few years since the last general elections, things have gone wrong. Things have gone wrong, and a lot of people felt that the way things are going, we are going down the drain. We are on the way towards a failed state, a rogue state. And Hishamuddin mentioned about his proposal for a United Front 1 year ago. I was talking about the need for everybody to come together to save Malaysia 2 years ago. And in March last year, I made a specific proposal for a Save Malaysia coalition. So these ideas, I'm sure we were thinking, find a way out. You can't go on like that. Our economic development going down the drain, look at our ringgit, our education also in the drain, the nation building never before so divided, racial and religious polarization, and we are going backwards in terms of human rights, more and more repressive laws, more and more people detained, interrogated, and charged in court. So something is wrong, something must be done. So these are things, ideas floating in the air. Something must be done. How to rise above race, rise above religion, rise above region, and even rise above party politics. And what we did on the 4th of March is historic and unprecedented because never before have we been able to bridge that political divide. 1990, Gagasan Rakyat. 1998, 1999, Barisan Alternative. 2008, Pakatan Rakyat, and now Pakatan Harapan, all opposition. Couldn't bridge the gap between those in and out in power. This is the first tentative step. It's historic, and that's why it created such hope. It created such high hopes among people that something great was born on that day. A first step. Where it will go, will it succeed? Nobody knows. That depends on you and me. Whether that first step can be taken further depends on the people of Malaysia, whether we can unite as one people to save Malaysia. I have the benefit, thanks to the Prime Minister and the Speaker, since I can attend Parliament for 6 months, of going around the country. I visited 97 parliamentary constituencies. I don't think the Prime Minister has visited 97 parliamentary constituencies. And 80 of them was before March the 4th. I was, of course, wanted to have feedback on their views about 1MDB. But after March the 4th, I visited 17 parliamentary constituencies in Kelantan, in Kedah, in Perlis, and 2 days ago in Pahang. There is no doubt that as far as the public is concerned, they support the citizens' declaration to save Malaysia because they are Malaysians. They want Malaysia to be saved. Of course, there are those who have harbor doubts as to whether they can succeed, whether this is the right way, is legitimate. And that's why I think we have this discussion. But I would say I've been accused, Hishamuddin, I've been accused of being an opportunist, selling out my principles, betraying the rights of the people. But there's only one part of the accusation. For the first time, Tun Mahathir is being accused of my stooge. So I've been accused of being a stooge of Mahathir, but for the first time, Mahathir is being accused of being my stooge. The interplay of that type of accusations. We are nobody's stooge. I'm not Mahathir's stooge. Mahathir is not my stooge. We are all independent-minded. We can think for ourselves, like all of you. We think for what is best, what is right for the country. As I quoted from Nelson Mandela, this is a time when super efforts must be made by all Malaysians, above race, above religion, above region, regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of even party politics. How far this can go, I don't know. It is the famous Chinese saying of grouping with a stone to cross the river. Step by step, one step at a time. There is no plan drawn out that we can negotiate. What are the various steps we have to take? How to reach the final position? The final position is to save Malaysia. There is no steps to be taken. People ask who is the Prime Minister after Najib? I think it's premature because Najib is not going to come down. There are people who say it's very naive for the 45 signatories to think that they signed the declaration on the 4th of March, on the 5th of March, Najib will be no more. I don't think any one of us is so naive to believe so. In fact, we think he might even be there on the 14th general elections. It is going to be a long, arduous journey. But a start must be made. And I think we don't know what is going to happen as far as Najib is concerned. He is going to be more consolidated. But there must be a national people's movement with one objective, with one agenda to save Malaysia. We can discuss the details, how to go about it, but to save Malaysia. And if by the next general elections, the 14th general election, assuming Najib is still around, let there be the rallying, uniting cry of all Malaysians, save Malaysia. That is one and only one objective. And I think there will be no more powerful agenda, electoral objective than that. I think I'll start with that and pass it back to the chair.
Terima kasih Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang. Sebelum saya pergi ke panelis yang terakhir, saya ingin mengingatkan semua yang hadir bahawa Town Hall Meeting ini disiarkan secara langsung melalui Radio Bangsa dan juga melalui Ubah TV. Jadi kalau ada sesiapa yang tak dapat hadir, boleh beritahu mereka. Kalau nak dengar, boleh dengar. Atau kalau nak tonton pun boleh tonton di Ubah TV dan juga Radio Bangsa. Akhir sekali saya ingin menjemput pengerusi hakam. Ya, pengerusi hakam iaitu Dato Ambiga S.
Terima kasih saudara-saudari, salam sejahtera. I'll be very short because I think my fellow panelists have said everything that needs to be said. We're here actually because we would like to answer any queries that you all have about the Citizens' Declaration. I can understand why people have had misgivings. For many people, it happened very, very quickly, and they never had a chance to process it. It was not something that was discussed over a period of time. But I can tell you, if it was discussed over a period of time, it wouldn't have happened. Sometimes you need to just grab the bull by the horns and just deal with it, because time is not on our side. One thing we are all agreed, the country is in crisis. I go around shopping malls or wherever I go outside, I have so many people coming up to me and saying, what can we do? They're in despair, actually. Malaysians are in utter despair because we have a leadership who doesn't care what we think. We've tried 4 rallies, as Maria said. 500,000 turned up for Bersih. We tried, to push people, to put forward a motion of no confidence. The speaker never allows it to go to the floor. We've tried every means possible to do something about the present situation. It has not worked. And it's very clear in everyone's mind. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming, and yet they try to bluff and say there are no charges, there's nothing wrong. We get all sorts of stories, story after story, and while they're telling those stories, they're sealing our lips on the other side. The latest is, I was horrified to read, they want all portals, am I right, to register with the AGC. What nonsense! But they're doing this while we are saying, look, this has to stop. We're still saying that. So something more drastic has to happen. And for me, actually, I'm crystal clear in my mind. It's not a decision I made easily, but with a lot of thought and with consultation with the people whom I could consult. But very clear in my mind, this is the time to put aside differences. It's not a time to play up differences. This is the time to put aside differences for a higher cause, the cause of our nation. The nation calls. And I said to myself, if YB Lim Kit Siang can put aside his differences, Anwar Ibrahim can put aside his differences, Hisham, Maria's husband, was under ISA. If they can all put aside those differences, am I more angry than them that I can't put aside mine? I don't think so. And don't forget, all of us at this table have been fighting the regime, this government, for the past 30 over years, in my case, 30 over years. More than half my life. And yet, I recognize that now's not the time to talk about that. We're going to temporarily stop talking about that and start talking about the danger, the clear and present danger that is right before our eyes. We cannot ignore that. It would be irresponsible to ignore that. And let me tell you something, time is not on our side. My concern is, and you can see it already happening, Kit Siang mentioned he may be charged for sedition. All that is coming. I don't know, people at this table are probably going to face God knows what. It could happen to any of us. Time is not on our side. We need to speak now. And for me, actually, the wonderful thing about this declaration is that it has brought people together from across the political divide. It is something that is so difficult to achieve because in Malaysia, politics is a zero-sum game. You're either with me or you're against me. So, in the past, Saudara Dato Khairuddin would have said, ni dahsyatnya Dato Ambiga, we're not going to listen to anything she says. In the past. Tapi sekarang, kita boleh bincang tentang isu reformasi. Dulu kita tak ada peluang untuk membincangkan perkara itu dengan pihak-pihak Barisan Nasional. Sekarang ada. That is a breakthrough. They are also citizens. We need to reach across the political divide and convince them that reform is necessary, and I can see that happening for the first time. So for me, that is a big advantage. And, this is about being on a ship, all right, where two groups of people hate each other, but the captain is steering the ship towards the iceberg. Are those two groups going to continue fighting? No. That's stupid, because the ship will sink, and that is my concern. That's the kind of crisis that we're facing. That's the kind of crisis we need to be talking about day after day. We must never forget that that is our goal, to save the nation, as Kit Siang says. And let me give you another analogy. It's like, for me, Najib has to go. All legal means. We're saying all legal means. The best is if he will resign. We've tried that. It hasn't happened. So there are other legal means that can be employed. But it needs the force of people power to make that happen. That's all we have, but it's a powerful tool. 45 of us signing means nothing. Means nothing. We just started the petition. What we need is all of you to come on board. It becomes a meaningless petition unless all Malaysians stand with us and we create a wave that cannot be ignored. And as far as removing Najib is concerned, it is an important first step. As Kit Siang says, what the next steps are, we will have to see, because it's a dynamic situation. It's a dynamic situation. So when people say, do you have a plan? Well, we have the first plan, which is to make sure Najib steps down. So let's take it a step at a time. My other analogy is this. You're talking about a bleeding patient, for example. You stop the hemorrhaging first, you stabilize the patient, then you do the operation. What we want to do first by asking Najib to leave is to stop the hemorrhaging in this country. That's why it is critical first step. So I would say, ladies and gentlemen, I know you have queries, and I know we could have done better. I feel we could have consulted more people, yes. But we were running against time. And I think if you look at the petition as it stands, never mind who signed it, never mind who were the first people who signed it, look at the petition on its merits. Is there anything there that you don't agree with? No. There's nothing there that is objectionable. In fact, some of Bersay's demands for him to stand down and institutional reform is there. It is safe for you to sign that petition. And we need you. We can't do this without you. We will have failed if we have not got your support. So I would urge you to find it in yourselves, no matter what you feel inside. Please find it in yourselves to stand with us and create the wave that we need. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih, Dato Ambiga. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed further, there is a donation box. It's there with Ivy. Yes, there's only one donation box. And the donation is towards the Save Malaysia movement. And really it's in order to, book halls like this and also photostat pieces of papers and things like that. So please, if you believe in the cause, then please donate generously. Now, the moment that all of you have been waiting for, the actual town hall session, I know a lot of you would have a lot of things to say. We are going to allow comments, of course, but I ask that please keep it to just 2 minutes? 2 minutes? Yeah, 2 minutes. And please introduce yourselves first to the panelists so that we know who is speaking. There are, I think, one microphone in the middle. Is there another one? No, okay, there's only one microphone in the middle. But maybe the ones in front can also use the microphone in front. So we start off, I think, with Haris.
Haris from ABU. Firstly, let me just quickly say this. Malaysians generally just content themselves with sitting in kopitiams and bitching from morning to night. So whilst I may not be in total agreement with all of you, my congratulations. You have stood up, as By Kit Siang says, patriots of this country. I have two questions. Let me put the questions to you first, and this arises from perceptions. It is perceived that Dr. Mahathir is the author of the declaration. Could you confirm if he is or he isn't? And second, is he the principal leader, if that's putting it correctly? And I think for many of us, certainly for me, that is the principal concern. When I first heard of this issue, if I can just give the background very quickly, I approached this looking at it from two perspectives. First, you have the declaration, and then you have the issue of leadership. Now, I spoke 2 weeks ago at a very little forum, and I assumed that this document is not yet cast in stone. You have 35 recitals, and then you have 4 paragraphs with demands, firstly, Najib to go, those who have been complicit with him to go, and then you have, now this was what was troubling, recent legislation and agreements Now, how recent is recent? Because you talk about recent legislation that is impacting on constitutional rights, fundamental rights. How far back are we going to go? On the matter of the institutional reforms, the language there says such as the, and it mentions 4, PAC, Bank Negara, the police, and MACC. Now, I'm assuming that as far as that is concerned, it's open to be expanded. Now, the concern is simply this. By Kit Siang, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said we do not know how long this is going to take. And it could take us right into GE14. 21st of March, Mukris was quoted in Malaysia Kini as saying, it's about saving UMNO. And in that same article, it was, at least in the article itself, it seemed to be tied with the People's Declaration. Now, it's in that context that we ask, how do we get on this initiative? And I would really love to, all right? But how do we get on this initiative if Mahathir is leading it? It's a different thing if he's just one of many who is joining Patriots. But if he's the leading light, I cannot forget, yes, I have not suffered like many of you, but I cannot forget that between 1987 and 2016, the drama is the same. If Najib has sacked the AG, Mahathir sacked Tun Saleh. Muhyiddin got sacked, he sacked Anwar. Both of them, the same drama in order to save their political careers. So I'd be grateful if I could get the answers to those 2 questions. Thank you.
Another one, I think the gentleman over there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the most respected panel members. I think this citizen declaration is something that is most unprecedented.
Sorry, your name, sir. Your name.
My name is Rajendra. I come from some of the NGOs. This is the most unprecedented event in the whole of, I think, in this country. I feel it is something that is must be given a lot of importance. I don't want to take a long time, but I only have 3 simple questions, because I also want to pray like all of you that you succeed in whatever you want to do, right? But there are some lingering questions that are still in the mind of some of us. One question is, today when we heard that some of you have filed a suit against the Prime Minister in court today, I hope that, I really feel it's something that is very good, but I would like to get the learned people here to clarify. There's a lot of people asking this question. Do you have the local standard to do that? I think that will explain a lot of things and give us a lot of confidence. Maybe you can answer that. The second question is, some of you have said that if there's anybody whose a complaint comes about the corruption and so on, even if it's frivolous, especially people who are running the government with frivolous, then they should resign or go and leave. But I don't know whether that is the right thing to do, because if everybody's maliciously for malafide comes and brings some sort of accusation, especially with government leaders and a lot of even people like you all, then I think if all of you resign, I don't know who's going to take care of all of us. That's the second question I want to ask. The third question is, I agree that the root cause of a lot of your things have been Dr. Mahathir and many others. But of course now they have changed. They say they're changing. And they're changing because they couldn't do what people are weaning and crying and saying, look, all these things are wrong. But I agree, because they were trying to do all these things in the government when they were there, but the government is not listening. So they are now come out And they say we'll join all of you who have been like my respectable MB says that he has been asking to say Malaysia for a very long time, but now they have joined him to say Malaysia. But the question is, all this is all good, but just like my previous speaker said, right? But as somebody, as Saudara Lim said, MP Honorable Lim said, that we must not be hostages of the past. But I also want to tell you that we cannot be haunted by the past also, right? Because I don't know how this coalition is going to really be, because the fundamentals are still yet to be worked out. It is only a temporary thing, as all of you say. But finally, what is the alternative? If something, because we have seen changes, breaking up, quarrelings, more squabblings. I don't know what is the future. Can you all please clarify?
Thank you. I think we'll take those questions first. I think the first question by Haris is whether Tun Mahathir is the architect of the Deklarasi Rakyat. Anyone wants to answer this? Dato Sri Khairuddin will answer that.
Terima kasih. Saya rasa itu merupakan satu soalan yang cukup bernas, yang mana saudara kita yang pertama menanyakan adalah adakah Tun Mahathir sebagai arkitek di dalam daya usaha untuk menjayakan Deklarasi Rakyat ini. Bagi saya rasa sebenarnya Tun Mahathir bukanlah arkitek secara eksklusif, secara berseorangan. Saya tidak menafikan bahawa beliau telah drafted ni semua konten Deklarasi Rakyat, tetapi apa yang dilakukan oleh Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, beliau panggil semua pihak-pihak, khususnya 45 orang penanda tangan peringkat pertama, dan beliau beri naskah draft tersebut kepada semua orang untuk sama-sama go through and then buat apa-apa amendments sekiranya ada, dan perkara itu berlaku. Dan saya rasa sebahagian daripada konten itu telah dipinda sendiri oleh yang berbahagia Dato Ambiga. Jadi itulah. Tapi saya akui bahawa Tun buat masa ini beliau adalah peneraju, tetapi beliau percaya dan beliau berpegang kepada collective consensus agreement. Semuanya beliau bukan beliau buat, beliau luluskan, tak. Beliau buat dan beliau bagi kepada semua orang untuk baca, untuk go through, dan kita buat pelbagai pindaan. Lepas tu saya juga bersetuju seperti mana yang diperkatakan oleh Yang Berhormat Saudara Lim Kit Siang. Deklarasi Rakyat ini sebenarnya bukanlah milik Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Ia milik rakyat. Dan sekarang ini kita telah mencipta satu sejarah yang cukup baik, yang mana perpaduan sesama rakyat tanpa mengira kaum, bangsa, agama, pemahaman politik dan sebagainya sudah terjalin, sudah berlaku dengan begitu utuh. Dan saya nak merayu kepada keseluruhan rakyat yang ada di sini pada hari ini, tolonglah make it happen. We don't look back and don't talk about the past. We have to look ahead positively if we want it to be happen. Dan kita tengok macam mana ahli-ahli panel kata tadi, kita tengok Datuk Seri Anwar pun boleh terima keadaan, Tun Mahathir boleh terima keadaan, Yang Berhormat Saudara Lim Kit Siang boleh terima. Dan ini bukanlah satu coalition antara parti-parti politik, tapi ini adalah perpaduan rakyat yang agak tulen, yang sedang berlaku. Sebab itulah kita kena conserve and kita kena preserve unity ini yang sedang berlaku. Kita jagalah sebaik mungkin dan kita pertahanlah sekiranya boleh, seberapa lama yang boleh, sehingga matlamat kita semua tercapai. Dan untuk soalan saudara yang kedua tadi itu, satu soalan yang agak bernas mengenai lokus sandai. Saya ingin menjawab sekiranya diizinkan. Saya rasa dalam isu lokus sandai, apabila saya, Tun Mahathir Mohamad dan Anina memfailkan saman terhadap Perdana Menteri pagi tadi, Saya rasa itu tidak harus dipersoalkan kerana kami mempunyai lokus sandai secara terus-menerus. Kerana kes 1MDB inilah saya ditahan oleh pihak polis. Kerana kes 1MDB inilah saya dimasukkan ke dalam lokap. Kerana kes 1MDB inilah saya diperosok masuk ke penjara Sungai Buloh. Begitulah juga dengan saudari Anina, begitulah juga dengan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Kerana kita terlibat dalam kes 1MDB ini dari hari pertama. Jadi dalam erti katanya kita mempunyai lokus tanda yang amat jelas dalam isu yang kita filekan pada pagi ini. Terima kasih.
Saya nak mencakapkan tentang apa yang sebenarnya berlaku. Pada malam Khamis, besoknya Jumaat, kami daripada Sekretariat Bersih membincangkan satu persatu draft resolusi itu. Jadi tidak betul sebenarnya, ada dimasukkan fakta-fakta. Jadi kerana ada juga, there are rumors, there are gossips saying that we went in signing the thing without knowing nothing, which is not true. We knew what it's all about. We have our input. Yes, it's true. Some of our input were rejected. Some was not there. Yes, we could have been more. Yes, yeah. But to say that we are unaware is not true. Okay, now saudara kita bercakapkan tentang kenyataan mukris untuk saudara and my dear friends and citizens of PJ. Yes, you must understand, they speak different lingo. They belong to a political party. They have their audiences. They have their problem. We, these people who are also from the NGO, we are also speaking in the same another kind of language. Ada perbezaan bahasa, pengurusan bahasa di dalam percubaan untuk menyatukan dua gelombang ini. There are differences in the language and there are differences in our audiences. Because this is the first time creating a united front. You have to recognize that. Harus diterima hakikat bahawa ada perbezaan-perbezaan yang hakiki. Mukris mengadap orang-orang ahli UMNO sebagai bekas menteri besar. Maria Chin menghadapi penyokong dia dari Bersih. Hanya saya tidak menghadapi sesiapa. Kerana saya mengaku diri saya NGI, non-governmental individual. Tak ada orang ikut belakang saya. So saya tak ada apa. Tetapi dalam masa yang sama, NGI receive more shit than anybody else. Because everybody can shit him. So itulah karenanya. Jadi kemudian kita tengok, what is the solution, my friends? What is the solution? That is the problem with all of us. What you always ask, what is the solution? It's not like wanking, you know. The solution is in your hand. It's like masturbating. The solution is in your hand. You remember that? Remember that when you are 16, 17, where is the solution? The solution is your hand. I always tell that, people laugh. Hishamuddin is vulgar again. Yes, I'm vulgar because I have to use vulgarity to make people understand. The solution is with you, with all of us. So remember, you cannot expect us, you cannot say, Tun Dr. Mahathir, Tun Dr. Mahathir, elok nak. Orang kata, oh nanti Tun Dr. Mahathir ni licik. He is a clever fox. He's an old fox. This is media contention. Between Mahathir Mohamad and Hishamuddin Rais, we have the same thing between our two ears. Nothing special about Mahathir Mohamad. Nothing special. The only thing special when he was a prime minister, he has the state power to deliver all what he wants. Hishamuddin has nothing. The ideas is the same. We have the same ability. I have no fear. The only thing is that he have the state power. He have the special branch, the judiciary, the police, the FRU. That's what he has. Today, he's the same thing. We are talking together how to organize and overthrow Najib. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just answer a few. I think I really appreciate the questions that were put forward because these are the questions that we got it from Sabah as well. This is our second town hall meeting and we learned quite a lot from our interaction with people from Sabah, and they should be the most angry person with regards to the policy left over by Mahathir. It's true that Mahathir, when the event is like this, on Tuesday night, me and Ambiga actually met up with Mahathir, and we were given the declaration to read. And if we had signed that first draft of the declaration, then really we are not clear what we want. We didn't want to sign. It's simply because the first draft of the declaration did not include anything about institutional reform. So in that discussion, we negotiated and said, let us actually put in what we want. And that was when I called a meeting with the NGOs to present that declaration to them, to say that what can we do to actually include the demands that we want. So that's why, if you look at the declaration, paragraph 36 and 37 actually includes partially, or in fact 37 includes most of the things that we wanted. And the motivation, as I said, is really, it is not just about removing Najib. It is really, after that, what do we do with the country? How do we heal the country? And that is when the institutional reform has to happen. And that is inside the declaration. Wording, yes, maybe it could be done better, but it was rushed. We won't deny it. But we went in mainly because we feel that at that moment we can actually make some change. Okay? Then the other thing is that, yes, Mahathir is leading this movement to some extent. But he has been calling meetings with the signatories to discuss about the steps ahead. So it is not what I even expected. I didn't expect that also, the consultation, because I think that coming from the NGO perspective, we would want the consultation, the process and all that. But we are also dealing with people who don't also understand our process. Okay? But there is an attempt to call the signatories to set up a secretariat that will actually monitor the progress of how this declaration is going to move forward. So for me, I think that, whether Mahathir actually lead or not may not be such a crucial question, but what we do with the declaration becomes more crucial, because we now have to take that declaration and say that it's ours. And say that, we want to make something happen. And this declaration and the steps that follow is something that we have to take ownership. We cannot say that, we allow him to just lead. We can't. That will actually mean that, we are not actually in control. We want to be in control is because we also want our reform to happen. So that's why we are actually at the negotiation table. And for me, that is the importance of it. We of course, if it had been a different process, maybe other people can lead that. But now we have Mahathir. But you see, the other thing that we also have to consider is that we want to also reach out to the people that is beyond Bersih. Bersih actually have reached out to 500,000 people. These are not going to be the only people that are going to change this country. Let us not forget that. We want other people, the people from Barisan Nasional as well, to come on board with us. And Mahathir actually is the vehicle for us to actually reach out. And for the first time in our discussion, they have actually agreed that civil society can use their platform to talk to Barisan Nasional grassroots. and talk about the reform agenda that we have. And that is the tool that we want. That is the passageway that we want. Because for the first time, Barisan Nasional is engaging with us and understanding why reform is so important. And not just about removing Najib. So we are also trying to enter into a space where reform agenda is not being discussed. So I feel that, there is us using, and as well as the other side using us as well. But we are not saying that this is the only solution. If people have other solutions, by all means, please, as long as we are moving in the same direction to get rid of the corruption that is in this country, to get rid of the wrong abuse of power, we are moving together in that in the same direction. And we have no denial that Mukhris and even Sanusi has said that it is about saving UMNO. But they are also talking to their own grassroots for them to actually understand that, there needs to be a change. So they are talking the language that maybe will not be very good for us to hear, but they are talking the language of the UMNO grassroots. And when we talk about the reform, may not be the language that UMNO likes to hear either. But we have to raise it. Both sides will have to raise it, and hopefully we will actually have a common path. And the common path now, right now, the first phase is really to get rid of Najib, because he symbolizes the destruction of this nation. The other one is local standard. This one is not signed by organization. And there was no need for organization to sign, because we are calling upon each and every citizen to stand up and be counted. So why do we need organizations to sign? This is our country. We actually say we want to do something for this country. And so you sign because you are a citizen of Malaysia, wanting a better Malaysia. Thank you.
Haris, I'd like to answer your questions. Let me just go to the technical bits first. When you asked about recent legislation and agreements, we should go as far back as we need to, Haris, because you know that there's a lot of legislation, even from previous times, that require amendments. So, yeah. But the reason it was put as recent was the more immediate ones. I think that requires immediate change. All the things that they're bringing in now. And the one, I suppose, that is really stark would be the Sedition Act changes and the NSC. Those are the immediate things that we need to do something about. So that's, that's something that we can always look at, right? The other thing you asked was about PAC, BNM, MACC are the examples. Yes, it's open, yeah, when we're talking about that. The other thing you mentioned was the question of the principal leader. There's no doubt that it was started by Dr. Mahathir. As far as I'm concerned, we are all equals sitting at that table, all of us. And we're all there as citizens, we're all equals, and we're carrying on with our own thing. And I can tell you, you have to have faith. We will never give up our reform agenda. We will not stay there if the reform agenda is not thought of seriously, and we're no pushover, our lot who are there. We're no pushover, but we don't want to be alone. We want all of you on board as well, because that's what speaks, you see. At the end of the day, what really counts are the numbers that we can get together. So as far as I'm concerned, and to be fair to Tun Mahathir, I think he was asked that question at that first session, and he said, and he was asked, are you the lady? He said, no, we are all equal. We're all here as citizens. That's how we all feel about that. And for me, what we're doing now is we're all organizing our own individual activities, actually. And we're just pushing ahead. Maria, myself, Cynthia, and I know that the others, Dato Khairuddin, all are carrying on their own activities all over the place, because we're trying to actually build the momentum. So in that sense, we're all leading in our own way to get the numbers on board. So rest assured, Haris, there's no, you know what I mean? As far as that is concerned, I don't think you should have too much of a concern. On the issue of Mukriz and so on, talking about Barisan, you must understand this, and you must be realistic as well. This is a temporary alliance. Come GE13, we're going to be on opposite sides again, okay? DAP is going to be with Pakatan Harapan, and Barisan Nasional will carry on. We will be on opposite sides. All those people sitting at that table signing will be on opposite sides when GE13 comes. 14, we want to make sure GE14 does come. That's the reason we're sitting at that table, because one of the concerns is we may not have a general election. So I think be realistic. Overnight, you can't expect people to just ditch their parties and their alliance, you know, their political alliances. No. I think what is important is to focus on the goal. I think that, to me, that's my answer for you. I think that's all I have to say.
Okay. If I may just add on. Sorry, I appear to be quite distracted. There is a pandemonium in Parliament, and Guan Eng has just been thrown out of Parliament. Yeah. Because Ramadan, you know, the so-called BN strategic communications chief as a housing minister was, of course, dealing with the allegations on Guan Eng's house, and there was this exchange, and I don't know exactly what happened, but I know that he has just been thrown out, and the whole group of DAP MPs have walked out in support. So I've been quite distracted trying to follow, although I don't know exactly the full story of the whole thing. But I think Haris has made a very important point, and I want to pay tribute to Haris. There is no greater patriot than Haris in Malaysia. He has paid his price. He has made his contribution, as we have all made our contribution. I remember in Parliament, I told the BN MPs, you have no right to regard yourself as patriots. We have gone to jail, not because we have stolen, not because we have committed any crime, but because of our love for this country, because of our standing up for the principles and the interests of the future of Malaysia. And we are going to jail, and we are prepared to go to jail. And there's Haris as well. But we respect differences of views, whether this is a best approach, right approach, even how far you will go, you will end up in finality. And I'll be very frank, I do not know. I don't know whether we will fail. But it's better to try and to believe that this is an opportunity to try and fail, and then not to be tried at all. Because the stakes are very high. We never had such an opportunity as now. For the first time, we breached this political divide. Never before. And if we don't make full use of this, I don't know when we are going to have the next opportunity. Of course, the uncertainties are great. As I said, we are going step by step. You don't know what is the full game plan. Nobody has a full game plan. I mean, even Mahathir doesn't have the full game plan. But we know that something's wrong. There is a need for women of goodwill to come forward, of vision, of trust. To trust, because whatever our differences, we believe that we have come in with this noble, patriotic objective to save this country. And we are negotiating it one step at a time. We are only committed to what is in the 37 paragraphs in the People's Declaration. Various people have said various things outside the framework of the 37 paragraphs. Do you understand? But, we prefer that the things that we don't agree are not said. But we are only bound by what is in the 37 paragraphs. I'm sure what we say, not everybody will agree. But that's why we are moving one step at a time. Of course, there is a view. How can such a tenable basis be something great? I don't know. Because I think in our peculiar, unique circumstances, that's how we have to take it. Just as mentioned, the Chinese saying, the groping with a stone to cross the river. And so long as we affirm your beliefs, we believe that what we are doing right, we are not going to be puppets of Mahathir, as I don't believe that Mahathir is going to be our puppet. But we can strike a common core agenda. something which we can agree. And we hope slowly we broaden this area of agreement. 13 paragraphs in the declaration are on MDB, specifically. Another 12 paragraphs on how the MDB has undermined body politic institutions, independence, the confidence in the people, where to the extent that the 1DB has become make Malaysia infamous as one of the top corrupt nations in the world. And then the rest of the paragraphs, intro and the end, 36, 37. Yeah, we are at present agree on this one, MDB, but I think 36, 37 is important. 36, as Haris has mentioned, spelled out, the clauses. 37 talks about democratic and institutional reforms, which are even wider than what is in 36. Even wider in scope. What it is going to be, what all the signatories and all who signed this declaration can agree or not, how we expand this is a work in progress. This is a work in progress. It's not completed work. If it is completed work, we would have already saved Malaysia. There's no need for this meeting. It's a work in progress, and it's a difficult work in progress. And there's no uncertainty we will succeed. But I think there is no other way. What's the other way? I mean, when I went around, a question was asked: is it so hard to come to some more deeper, larger, fuller agreement? I say it's very hard. Not easy. You think it's easy for Lim Kit Siang and Mahathir to sit together? Is it easy for Mahathir and Lim Kit Siang to sit together? I'm accused of all sorts of things. I said, I'm accused of being his puppet, and he's being accused of being a puppet. Is that easy? Not easy. Very, very hard. And therefore, it is not an easy work. But we venture into this with belief, with trust, with each other, that slowly we can expand on this core agenda. We have different, there's no doubt, everybody knows, we have different agendas. The question is whether we can expand on a common core agenda to save Malaysia. And we need your help. We need your understanding. We need your faith in the future of Malaysia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just an announcement. All of you have donated generously, and we have tonight 1,548 ringgit. You can still donate. If you have extra change, you can still donate. And I think we'll let the next speaker, Siti Kasim, please introduce yourself.
Okay, you've introduced me. Okay, I'm Siti. It's not a question, or I just want to share with you what I wrote on Facebook after I see many NGOs and CSOs were so against this pact. I just want to share this with you all, why I support this declaration. Much have been said by a lot of people, especially the CSOs and NGOs, about the signing of the declaration to oust Najib. Some agree and some vehemently disagree due to purportedly the person who initiated it and became the focus of the pact. I tell you why I support this declaration. I support it because I want what is best for our country. I don't care who initiated or started it. I don't care who is in charge or leader of it, as long I agree with the content of the declaration. I will tolerate, as I believe, a fair and objective attitude toward those whose opinions and practices differ from my own. I would even support if it's Hadi Awang or Harusani initiated this. People who know me will know how much I, really like them. So I would still support if they had initiated this. So I look at the cause of the movement. I read the declaration because that is what matters. The declaration for me is like a contract between parties that agree with it. Yes, some may say it's not binding, but for me it is the honorable thing to do when you are a part of the pact and a signer to it. So I will take this gamble. after weighing the pros and cons, rather than let this country rot in front of my eyes. So to those, I beg to those who are against this declaration, please put aside our distrust and whatever that you have. This is about our country. It is not about our ego, about the CSO or politician. It's not about that. It's about the future of our country. I mean, I'm not reading everything because I did mention bitching and whining here. So I won't say those words here. And anyway, so I would say that, for heaven's sake, let's agree on something and put our differences, dislike and distrust aside. We have a bigger picture here. At least I can say I have tried. Okay, that's it.
Yes, please just come to the mic so that after that...
Yeah, I'm Ronnie. I just got back from Shanghai for a week. This is I have a lot of friends in Shanghai who are Malaysians. They are telling me they are now usually do not tell the Chinese or the foreigners in China that they come from Malaysia because they are so ashamed of being Malaysian because of Najib. Okay, I want to say this. There is a Chinese concept called Jiang Gong Su Zui. Jiang Gong Su Zui, if I try to translate, it is more or less like you redeem yourself. If you have done a lot of wrongs in the past, but we give you a chance to redeem yourself by doing good works and contributions. That's the concept. For those who don't like Mahathir like me, good friend, Mahathir's good friend is Khairuddin here. I want you to tell Dr. Mahathir, there are a lot of people in Malaysia, they're still not very keen or still very skeptical about the citizens' declarations because of Mahathir. This is a fact, but I do not want to blame him because that is historical. But the speakers, the honorable panelists here today have made it very clear. I don't need to explain on their behalf that we have a real crisis here. For one MDB, we all know that do you know that their total debt is more than 42B? Plus interest and all that, could be already 45B. But do you know that if you sell all the assets in one MDB, you can't even get 20B? And do you know that Mahathir has ruled Malaysia for about 22 years, and then after that, Abdullah. These two prime ministers, they've borrowed a lot of money on our behalf. Guess how much? About 250B. Do you know how much Najib alone, how much loan he has taken for a short 4 or 5 years? Now our national debt is close to 700B. You know, you have this kind of prime minister. 1 year ago, if you asked me to say, bring down Najib, I would say no. You know why? Because I prefer to keep Najib there, to destroy the country more, so that the opposition can have a chance in a PR-14 to take the government. Yes or not? But after one MDB, after 2.6B, after Apandi become the AG, after the possibility of the fellow who's the director of Tabung Haji and one MDB advisor may be appointed as the governor of this Bank Negara, I begin to feel that I think the number one task is to bring down Najib. Thank you for all your efforts. Please join all the Malaysians. And before that, I hope people like Tun Mustahidam, Tengku Razali, Hanif Omar, and all that, whoever you can imagine, you can remember, all those so-called very important people in the past, they all should join us to sign for the declaration like us. That's what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronnie. The gentleman in purple, and after that the gentleman in green, and then only yourself, sir.
Good evening. Yeah, I understand.
Sorry, can we have your name?
Maitri. I understand there's a need to use a thorn to remove another thorn from the flesh. But then you must also be mindful that you have to throw away both of those two thorns, you know. So in concerning this, you know, as Dato Ambiga says, we have to take the bull by the horns. But then you have to also consider whether you can overcome the bull or the bull will butt you. So if we come across a wall and you find it difficult to cross over the wall, sometimes you may also think of strategize, why not go around the wall? So the point I'm going to make is, from the very beginning, there should be a Prime Minister cannot sit on two chairs. He cannot sit on the Prime Minister chair and the Finance Minister chair. And we have allowed Mahathir to do it. We have allowed Najib to do it. And probably if the next Prime Minister, Anwar, he may be also allowed to do it. So my suggestion is, why don't you just remove Najib from the post of Prime Minister, from the post of Finance Minister, rather than from the post of Prime Minister. Okay, the second point I make is that you want quick solutions, but I see the dilemma of the country is as old as Adam and Eve. Now, if this UMNO tree, you just want to chop off a branch that is overbearing, you know, you want to chop off the Najib branch. Don't you think they are just pruning the tree? Because you need to aim at the root of the tree, with the UMNO tree, and before you can bring the tree can be fall down, or it will fall down by its own weight. So the root of it is in the policies. Now, I have not seen that the opposition have really, you know, openly worked on the real issues that affect the people. I mean, in all the fields, racial, religion, and you know, economic and all that. So I feel NGOs must do a rethinking before they launch out. Thank you.
The gentleman, no, just the one in green, the gentleman in green.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. My name is Adam Ibrahim. I don't represent any organization. I'm here on my own. I heard just now the reservations expressed by Haris about Mahathir being the architect of this declaration. I've also heard the explanations by some of the panel members, including Dato Ambiga, who said, no, we are all equal. I think Saudara Kit Siang will agree with me that in politics, perception is very, very important. And having heard the explanations, as an ordinary person, let me say, I'm not convinced by the explanations that Mahathir is not playing a primary role in this matter. The deed has been done. The declaration has been signed. Let it be. But it now has to evolve and metamorphosize into a movement. It needn't be headed by Mahathir. Let it be that Dr. Mahathir not be the spokesperson for such a movement. I think the public perception of this movement will be more receptive. Sure, Mahathir can play his role. He can reach out to the UMNO rank and file. But he needn't be the spokesperson. Ideally, it should be a non-politician. To my mind, if he had not joined DAP, Abdul Samad Said would have been the perfect person to head this movement. But since he's become a DAP member, that may disqualify him. And I think the movement should look for someone who has standing in society, who is a non-politician, to head this movement and to be the spokesperson. And if there is no one available or no one willing, and if it has to be a politician, let me say that Dr. Mahathir does not represent our future. We need to find somebody then, a symbol, someone who can represent our future. And if it has to be a politician, my own view is that there's no better person than Nurul Izzah. She is, after all, the daughter of one of the persons who has suffered the most hideous injustices in this country. Thank you.
The gentleman in grey, last for this round.
Thank you for offering me giving a speech. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Sorry, can I have your name? Can we have
My
your
name
name?
is Raghunathan, and I'm a retired ex-serviceman, Air Force, and I'm also a qualified lawyer. I would like to say that a few things, whatever anybody said, Machroni said, and justify the means. That's what I believe in. Whoever comes in, how it is, whoever comes in, or whatever the force ends, what is the result? The final result is the most important thing in life. Irrespective, he said Mahathir, Dato Lim Kit Siang, Dato Ambiga, whoever influenced it, irrespective. But one concern, we have to justify what is justice. That's what we are going for, the declaration. Of course, the declaration has got right all the things. It's not a simple thing. You go back to history, American War of Independence, Boston Tea Party. They said, no representation, no taxes without representation. That's what they said. Something like that. It comes out simple as a speck. Why is this a concern? Whether it is Mahathir, Dato Ambiga, or it could be anybody. Whoever come forward and you can say that is justice for the whole nation, for the future of the country, anybody can come forward. Not necessarily would you say that Mahathir cannot be represented, or anybody can. No, anybody can represent, because it is the development of the country. They are the citizens of the country. So they have the rights to voice opinion. If things do go bad, why are we in this shit? They ask themselves, why in this shit? What happened to Malaysia? Whatever country we are, we're supposed to be the #1 Asia, better than Singapore in commercial wise and anything. Why? Because the political system. What do you think if at all a PKR or the opposition comes in, do you think it's the same thing? I wouldn't know. That's what the Tamil, they say in proverb. Ravanan Andal is Raman Andal. That means Raman is supposed to be a great lord. Ravan is supposed to be a crook. Whoever the crook or the hero run the show is still the same. Why? The system is still there. Nobody has done. If you go down here, even now, you go down to Selangor Corporation. Now Selangor is under opposition. You look in the land office, it's still the same. The same system, they're running it. What difference does it make? Do you think they're going to change the system? No. The takeover system, they still run over the system. There's no improvement at all. So what we want here, this declaration, whoever makes it, we will support it, and we want to see the result. The end justify the means. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Maybe responses from the panelists to what have been said.
Sebenarnya saya kurang setuju dengan pendapat salah seorang daripada member of the floor tadi yang mengatakan, mengapa tidak kita lucutkan, buang Najib daripada jawatan Menteri Kewangan dan seolah-olah kekalkan dia sebagai Perdana Menteri. Sebenarnya tuan-tuan, Najib ini tak boleh dikekalkan dalam apa jua jawatan. Dia terlalu korup. Kita kena buang dia secara total, Najib ni. Kerana dia salah guna kuasa, dia terlalu korup pada hari ini. Negara kita menjadi mudarat seperti mana hari ini adalah disebabkan oleh Najib Tun Razak. Kita kena ingat tu. Dan salah guna kuasa pada hari ini bukan dilakukan oleh Menteri Keuangan. Pada hakikatnya salah guna kuasa pada hari ini dilakukan oleh Perdana Menteri. Kerana jawatan Perdana Menteri itu sendiri mempunyai 1001 kuasa. Kita tengok dalam kes 1MDB. Siapa saja yang bercakap mengkritik tentang kes 1MDB terus dibuang. Tan Sri Mahyudin dibuang sebagai Timbalan Perdana Menteri, Syafi'i Abdal dibuang sebagai Menteri Kabinet, Bukris dibuang sebagai Menteri Besar. Pihak SPRM, pegawai SPRM siasat. Akhirnya orang yang siasat itu ditangkap, disoal siasat. Polis yang terlibat dalam siasatan, yang tidak setuju dengan pendapat mereka dipanggil, diubah jabatan dan sebagainya. Ini adalah gerak kerja daripada Perdana Menteri. Dan saya sendiri pun ditangkap, membuat laporan polis untuk nak selamatkan wang kerajaan dan wang rakyat daripada diselewengkan. Akhirnya ditangkap, ditahan di bawah SOSMA. Segala-galanya sebenarnya distrukturkan oleh jawatan Perdana Menteri itu yang mempunyai 1001 kuasa. Sebab itulah, kalau kita nak negara kita selamat, jalan yang terbaik kita kena buang Najib secara total. Kita tak boleh bagi dia jadi Perdana Menteri ataupun jawatan-jawatan lain, kita tak boleh kekalkan dia. Dan untuk member of the floor yang seorang lagi tu, saya ingin terangkan mengenai persepsi terhadap Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Seperti mana yang diperkatakan oleh ahli panel tadi, yang pentingnya kita tidak boleh toleh ke belakang sekiranya kita nak deklarasi rakyat ini berjaya. Dan dalam apa jua keadaan sekalipun, saya ni bukanlah errand boy Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Saya bukanlah budak suruhan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Tetapi hakikatnya pengaruh Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad masih lagi kuat dan agak besar. Sebab itulah kita berkolaborasi dengan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad untuk nak menjayakan deklarasi rakyat ini. Deklarasi rakyat ini sebenarnya it is owned by the public. It is not owned by any individual. And the emblem of that, to prove that, we are inviting 1,500 leaders nationwide to come for a symposium rakyat on the 27th, which is going to be held at Shah Alam Convention Center. Ini membuktikan, kita panggil semua pemimpin-pemimpin dari seluruh negara, 1,500 orang, untuk duduk memberi pendapat, bertukar-tukar pendapat dan sebagainya, untuk nak menentukan hala tuju deklarasi rakyat. Ini bukan hak Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad bukan tuan punya deklarasi rakyat. Saya rasa persepsi ini harus kita buang. Kerana deklarasi rakyat ini pada hakikatnya adalah dari rakyat untuk rakyat. Ini hakikatnya. Sebab itulah pada 27 ini kita panggil simposium rakyat. Untuk jemput semua orang untuk memberi pendapat. Dan saya juga nak jemput semua yang ada di Dewan ini untuk menghadiri simposium rakyat pada 27 hari bulan Mac ini di Shah Alam Convention Center. Dan perkara yang ketiga, yang terakhir, saya agak setuju dengan pendapat saudara kita tadi. Yang pentingnya ialah matlamat kita tercapai. Siapa yang nak take the lead dan sebagainya itu kurang penting. Asalkan dia tidak salah guna kuasa. Asalkan orang yang take the lead tu dia yakin, dia percaya kepada konsensus, kepada concerted effort dan sebagainya. Kalau itu ada pada diri dia, saya rasa siapa saja boleh take the lead. Kerana untuk nak bagi benda ni berjaya, salah seorang daripada kita secara realitinya, mau ke tak mau ke, suka ataupun kita tidak suka, salah seorang daripada kita harus take the lead. Tetapi kalau dia take the lead tanpa dia salah guna kuasa, saya rasa itu tidak salah. Kerana matlamat kita akhirnya kita nak berjaya, kita nak selamatkan tanah air kita. Itu saja. Terima kasih.
I just wanted to add on the issue of perception. I think I'm hearing some very resounding calls from the people in this room and friends in this room that we either don't want Dr. Mahathir to completely run away with this, and the only way he cannot run away with this and that he cannot be the sole architect of this is that we all come on board. So when Dr. Mahathir called for a discussion on how to move forward after the first batch of signatories put their names on the document, this was something that I raised directly to him in front of all the people that were present, that this thing, this whole movement, this citizens movement cannot just be seen to be led by him, because perception in the days leading up to the signing did not sound very constructive or positive, and there were a lot of criticisms from civil society and so on. So there was a proposal that was mooted to him and to everyone in the room that a civil society leader co-leads this with him, that we take charge, that we know what Maria said just now, that we are able to be in control, that we know where we want to go. We also know that the first challenge is to remove Najib. What comes after is where the real challenge really is. And so it must be, and I agree with Saudara Khairuddin also, that it must be that while we maintain the creative alliance with Mahathir and people in UMNO so that we can also engage with the grassroots of UMNO, we have to find among ourselves. And there are some very obvious choices in the people on this panel and in this room who could actually take the lead. But the call must also come from the public that we are ready, we want the declaration to be signed, we are ready to take it on, but we also want to have a leader among ourselves to take charge and to move it together so that it doesn't run away as a Dr. Mahathir thing. Actually, Hishamuddin is right. It's in our hands. Because if we don't do anything and we continue to criticize and rant on Facebook and Twitter, it is going to be his declaration or something that we all think is going to be his. So the whole concept is that we should own it. We should take ownership. We name a leader. We have trust in some very high-profile personalities, civil society leaders here. We name them, and we take charge, and we move forward. And I think the question on the foreign minister and prime minister was well answered by Khairuddin. Only thing I want to add is that we must never lose focus of what Najib has done. This is not personal about Najib, but this is how he has abused his power as prime minister in office and as finance minister. And we know from this moment on, we can never ever allow in the future in our democracy, when we get a chance to repair it, that the finance minister and the prime minister can never be held by one person. This is a clear vehicle that allows them to abuse their powers. So the question is accountability, and Khairuddin is absolutely right. Najib has abused both positions, so he absolutely has no legitimacy to sit in either one portfolio today. Thank you.
I just want to answer in terms of, I think that the Mahathir factor is bothering people, that I recognize. But I don't think that, I would actually suggest anything else. Simply because the purpose of him being there, he served a purpose for me. He served a purpose in the sense that he reached out to the grassroots that we would not be able to reach out to. If we had been able to reach out to those grassroots, GE13 would have been different. And for that reason, I feel it is strategic for him to be there to talk to the people that we can't reach out to. For me, that is the reason why he's there. But as I've said, we are not going to keep quiet and allow him to take over the whole agenda. We cannot stop him from speaking also. because we are talking about freedom of expression. And within any coalition, there can be differences of opinion, and that is what democracy is all about. But what we can do as citizens, that's where we have to take charge too. If everyone is still at the level of lamenting about the problem in our country, we will continue to lament about the problem in our country for 50 more years. So this is the moment. This is the moment where we have to take charge and say that, you know, come rain or shine, whether we get arrested or not, we are going to sign and we are going to dictate what is going to be the way forward in the Citizens' Declaration. And in Sabah, and actually I told them together with Hisham, if they're not happy with the declaration, they can actually have their own discussion. And when the people from the Citizens' Declaration goes to Sabah, which is going to happen in May, present to them that the declaration has not included the demands of the Sabahans. And make it more dynamic, make it yours, make it you can actually own that declaration. It is not like, you know, something that, you know, we have to follow right through. No. I think that, but to say that we want to change now, not really, because a lot of people have signed. But to actually, like what Kit Siang say, work in progress, we can add on, it is possible. So let us not get so bogged down in terms of the document itself. Let us just get the action going, because we just look at us here, 200 of us. 200 of us, if each of us gets another 200 people to sign, it's already 40,000. And if each and every 40,000 sign, we get 8 million. And that is the power of the people.
Hello. I just want to respond to Adam on that question of spokesperson. Honestly, and I'm not just saying this to satisfy you or to try and deflect, we are all spokespersons. There isn't one spokesperson. And if you look at what's been happening since the signing of the declaration, you will see that Maria and I have probably been talking about the declaration far more than Tun Mahathir has, you know. Maybe initially, yes. But that's how it is. And I think what I would like to see, for me, there is a question of trying to get as many signatures as we can before Ramadan. And I would like this to take off quickly. I would rather not be bogged down in some things that maybe, you know, that we can try and fix amongst ourselves. The question, that's why I say I am not in favor of the issue of leadership of this movement. We are all leaders. I don't want to give in to the point that some one person or two persons have to lead. I don't accept that as a premise, simply because I think we're all leading. So I would like to see how that turns out, Adam. If you know, I'm suggesting that we hold for a while on your suggestion. Let's see if this evolves, and let's see if everyone is comfortable with it. Because I know we are working hard. We are all individually doing our own talking, and you know, Kit Siang has been, and so on. So let it just develop that way organically. That's my suggestion. I mean, you know, I want to try and satisfy. Haris is still frowning, and that's really bothering me. But I understand it. At the end of the day, no one's going to force you to sign. Okay? If you really feel you can't, I will understand. But if you really can find it in yourself to come on board with us, this is the wave that we need. I would be so happy. And I think what Maria says is very good. Practically speaking, many of you can actually download the declaration and photocopy it or whatever, and get your friends to sign as well. And send it to where?
There is a volunteer desk out there, Sue Chong outside, who will take your name and your phone number and will send you details as to where to send it. So those who can actually democratize this declaration, go out there and get 1,000 signatures, please go out and look for Sue Chong. He's there with a list and he'll take your name, email address and telephone number. Thank you.
So I don't know whether I have answered your questions enough. Adam and Haris, I know you still have an issue, but you want to speak? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Colin Yeo. I'm nobody special. Originally, I had one question, but after hearing Saudara Maria's answer earlier, I now have two questions. I'll ask my first question first, which is very simple. What happens after Najib steps down? I know that, like Saudara YB Lim already said, that this is a work in progress. I know that you guys saying that this is uncharted waters, this is unprecedented times, and I understand that you guys don't really have a plan of what's going to happen next. But I would just like some reassurance that you guys have also considered the possible outcomes, that you guys are aware of everything that could happen after Najib steps down. And I think the thing that we are most afraid of is that even if Najib steps down, does this help UMNO in any way? Would this somehow turn to UMNO's advantage, which I cannot speak for everyone in this room, but that is something that I do not want. So again, the question is very simple. What happens after Najib steps down? The second question that I had after, again, hearing Saudara Maria's answer earlier is that you said that what Mahathir brings to the table is his ability to speak to the grassroots, which is something that you guys can't do. My question is why? Why can't you reach the grassroots? Because that is also something that I'm not very convinced about. What exactly does Mahathir bring to the table? How exactly is he an asset to any kind of civil movement? Because if I were to be truly convinced to sign this declaration, it would be if you guys convince me that Mahathir started this, but you guys are going to take it away from him. If you can do that, if you can convince me of that, then I'll sign. Thank you.
I think we'll just take two more and then that's it. Okay, Haris, I'm sorry, we have to let other people. Mr. Sarajun, can you just just four of you and that's all. Thank you. The gentleman in yellow first.
My name is Jimmy Teo. I'm very excited after hearing all this. And I would like to share whether what I receive is right or wrong. Okay, I think the main message is here that you want all of us to inspire many others. You know, if you can inspire your friends, you know, and I have did this, I have done this, and I commit today, I will inspire at least 50 of my friends to sign. And I would like to challenge all of you, because it is us that can make the change. It is us. Every day, actually every day, I make a point to speak to someone about Malaysia. And I always use this quote. I say, we need to thank Najib. He has created such a beautiful opportunity for us to change Malaysia. But we have to work very hard every day. We have to work very hard so that we really can thank him. If not, you are cursing him now. We must be able to thank him, but we must work very, very hard. And I'm doing it. I've done it for the last 1 year. I've spoken to more than 1,000 people. I would like to share with you, out of these 1,000 people, 5 people say, you should be the Prime Minister. I get very shocked. There are people say, the way you say it, you will go into the jail. But I say, if I go into the jail, all of you must celebrate for me because I have succeeded. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jaya. I have just 3 points to make. The first is, at least people from my generation will know that this one man has dominated our life, and till today he's still in this room and we're still talking about him. And that's the perception we are dealing with, the root. If you look from 4th March onwards, no way anywhere he has given an interview or said anything where he has talked about institutional reforms. Okay? I know you all are carrying it all the time, but he has not. And in fact, I think questions put to him point blank, he has, in his classical Machiavellian way, escaped it. So we all have to be cognizant of this. So if you want us to be convinced to sign this declaration and say, save this, and I'm not targeting this to the politicians on the battle, because politicians will change with the tide. I'm targeting this to Ambiga and gang. Is there a point comes when you are in this committee discussing where you know the agenda is going to be hijacked? Will you publicly now declare that you will get out of this? We need that public declaration for us to go and push for people to sign. One. Second, Hisham, since you brought out history and the theory of the United Front, are you aware of a Loitek in the midst? And if there is one, will you be able to monitor that person? Thank you.
Two more. There's two more. The gentleman over there and Mr. Sarajun. And that's it.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ganapati. I'm from NGO. Just want to clarify certain things to get some justice in this hall today. We all know who is Mahathir. For 22 years, he have done so many things to us. It will take another 10 years for us to see what he have done to the society. I'm not going to elaborate much on this Mahathir. Very simple thing. Among our people in this room, we are going to be in this world for another 30, 40 years. After that, the new generation is going to come and take over. Hope we do something for the new generation. Our generation is almost finished, but we at the right crossroad junction now. We have all the great things to do. All the cause that panels are doing is very great job. Only one request I'm asking here with all the great learner panels is that just ask Mahathir to be apologetic for raping this country for 22 years. We don't forget that. Let him be a gentleman, honest, apologize to the nation openly. Come back here. Everybody will support and forgive him. But the apologetic must come. We don't want to tell what he have done, what is for apologetic things. Let him know what he have done for the 22 years. Education, new generation, people have migrated to Australia with all the frustration. People from general manager from the bank, because of his policy, just resigned 24 hours. School teachers have migrated and gone all over, distorted the whole society for the past 22 years. All we want asking is just apologetic for open here. This is our sacrifice to sign. Yes, we sign. His sacrifice is one small word. That's all. Thank you, panelists.
Hello, my name is Sarajun Hoda. My question is actually directed to Dato Khairuddin. Let's be frank about it. Do you think Najib is the only person corrupted in the government? Well, the whole UMNO is corrupted. And lots of people join UMNO not for politics, but for money. That's why it comes to this point where Najib has to get a lots of money to survive in politics. So, if you just remove Najib without institutional reforms, you are back to square one. The Deklarasi Rakyat is not going to be successful. That's why it's very important that these two must go together. Najib goes and now, why do I refer this to Dato Khairuddin is that, how serious are you, UMNO and ex-UMNO people, for this Deklarasi Rakyat? If it comes to a situation where in order for the Deklarasi to be successful, you have to forgo UMNO, you have to dissolve UMNO, kick them out, which side would you be? Thank you.
Thank you. What we're going to do is just the last remarks from all the panelists. So we start with YB Lim.
Thank you. I'll just make one comment on an earlier remark about the importance of perception. That is true. In politics and in public life, perception is important. There's a concern that Mahathir is leading, the architect of the Citizens' Declaration. I think as we've not tried to hide it, the initiative came from Mahathir. The draft came from him, but it was not completely the draft that was left untouched. We had made our contributions, and we believe that that for a start, that was a good for the beginning of the declaration. But when you talk about perception, which circle are you talking about? Perception in PJ? Perception among non-Malays? What about perception among the rural areas? What about perception among the Malays? After all, this is Malaysia. Now we're talking about able to carry the whole of Malaysia. People's Declaration, there is a perception, of course, that Mahathir's perception, that it's a Mahathir show. Why should we go along with the Mahathir show? Do you know that among the Malays, UMNO is pumping the poison? That this is Lim Kit Siang show. That the Mahathir is falling into the trap of Lim Kit Siang. I'm so great, such a wizard, I can lay traps without laying traps. I can lay traps without laying traps. So it's a question of, you must find a middle way. We want to reach all Malaysians, urban, rural Malaysia. Because finally, like it or not, you must get the majority of all Malaysians behind this declaration if we are to succeed. For the first time in the nation's history, a change in our political landscape. I mean, on ourselves, we have made clear our position in the 13th general election, 53%. How do you reach out to this 47%? How would you get this declaration? First of all, you must get the 53% to endorse, to sign. That is what we are trying to do. But that's not enough. How do you get across to the 43%? You must contribute. You must play a role. But more than that, everybody can play a role. Mahathir can play a role. Modi can play a role. I think we must welcome them in open arms. Because we do need everybody to pull their weight in this. We cannot take a position, oh, you convince me, I'm happy, enough. No. We must be able to go out and convince overwhelming majority of Chinese, Malays, Indians, Kadazans, Ibans, Peninsula, Sabah, Sarawak. There are, of course, declaration that Sabah and Sarawak left out in order to put in. These are, as I said, further development of this Citizens' Declaration. There's one. What happens if, I have answered actually, what happens if, what after Najib? I'm not worried about that question. That question is important. But I'm not so worried, but I'm more concerned about how to get Najib to come down. Because I don't see Najib coming down at all. He is going to be more consolidated. Look at today, the Chief Minister of Penang been thrown out of Parliament. Is he coming down? Is Najib on his way out? Tomorrow I'm going to the police station. They're going to take a statement from me. I'm probably going to be charged for sedition. Is Najib on his way out? So, what is the first question to be asked is more important. You don't allow the rest of the question which will prevent us from dealing with the first issues. I don't know how we are going to get Najib to come down. Assuming we are so successful, we get Najib to come down. It will be, the political situation is in a flux. It's very, very liquid. It is not static change. What type of change is likely to be when Najib indeed steps down, or we have to wait until the 14th general election for the popular will to express themselves for a change of government. That is assuming there are going to be elections. Can we assume that there will be a 14th general election? I don't know. You ask me, I don't know. So there are many imponderables, many unknown questions, factors. What we must do is, we believe it's time to change. All we say, we do, unless all these questions are answered, we want to remain status quo. That's one option. We don't interact with anybody. Okay, if that's the option. When Tun Mahathir sent out word that he's prepared, he thinks there's a time that there must be bridge the political divide, come together. For him at that time, of course, the importance of getting Najib to come down. I'm sure the other Bersih people will have told him, and I told him that yes, Najib must come down, but there must be meaningful democratic and institutional reforms. That's it. It's not just a person, it's a system. So we go on. Or we say, no, we're not interested unless you declare wear sackcloth and admit you are wrong for the last 20, 30 years. Say sorry that they take me under Operation Lalang, and sorry to Anwar Ibrahim, everything. I mean, let me talk about real situation, not theoretical situation. We want to move from where we are, or we say, we're not interested. Status quo, we want just status quo. So I mean, there's a choice. And we are asking the people that we think that we should move. We have taken an option that the status quo is no option, and we hope we are asking for your support and your understanding. So there are no I cannot give you definitive answers. I can only create more problems for everybody.
Just to answer the first question, which is about possible outcomes, whether we are thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, I think there are private discussions, and we don't know what's going to happen. It's a dynamic situation, because don't forget, at the end of the day, what are the legal ways in which you can remove the Prime Minister? We are saying we want it by legal means. What are those legal means? Those legal means are motion of no confidence, which of course the Speaker is going to throw out. The other one is the Perak style, the numbers in Parliament. And ultimately, it's the numbers in Parliament that determines who is Prime Minister. You've got to remember that. And so, and also, when you say, what is your plan? We've got a lot of criticism about that, actually. What is your plan? What is the... Well, we're not in power. You have to remember, we're not in power here. We are trying to do our best. We can't dictate, because we're not in a position to dictate. But we are hoping that with people power, we will have more, we will have a voice that may make a difference, that may make people think, that may bring numbers over, that may bring the change. That's the purpose of this. So that's one thing. Secondly, Jayanat, I'm insulted you're even asking the question whether we will hang in there if the agenda is hijacked. You should know us better than that. We are very focused, okay, about...
will you make a public declaration now so that you can get more people to sign on that you will leave that coalition once it's hijacked?
I'm not going to do it because I'm assuming we all acting in good faith here. You all take us at our word. If we fail you, you take us down, okay? But this public declarations and all that, I'm hoping you all will trust us enough. If you don't, well, you don't. I mean, there's not a lot we can do about that. But I really hope that you unconditionally, support this declaration. Don't put conditions, don't put you must do this and X, Y, and Z before we will do this. It's difficult when there's, so many people. It's a dynamic situation. Have faith. Have faith, but also know that we are not naive. We are not naive. If something happens that is so violently against what we believe in, as Maria, myself, Cynthia, Hisham, everybody here, you must have faith that we will not stand there. We haven't fought all these years, 30 over years, all right, establishing our credentials as fighting for human rights. We're not going to sacrifice that, not for a minute. And I hope we will stand up to your scrutiny. That's all I can say. I mean, we're all human. Anything can happen. I hope and pray that we will rise to the occasion for you. That's all I can say. And I promise that we will try. We may not come up to scratch the way you want. Well, we'll have to see how that goes. But as I say, let's take it on faith, but also knowing we're not stupid. We know what's going on and we know what we want. But at this point, really, I think it's time now. It's time now for you to make a decision. It's time now for you to make a decision. Because if we're going to do something about this country, we've got to act now. Thank you.
I think I wouldn't answer that. I think that what you're going to answer the grassroots, huh? Okay, I'm going to leave Hisham to answer why we can't reach the grassroots. I think that one immediate, simple response is that no matter how much per se work, we cannot be expected to reach out to everybody. This coalition actually brings every grassroots contact together to actually fight a behemoth problem. So if you think that, per se on its own can do it, I don't think so. The other thing is that I feel that, again, the plan is really, can we not look at it this way? That this is the first step that we are taking. We have to take the change step by step. The first step is remove the problem. And the problem is Najib. Najib because of what he stands for. It's an accumulation of a rotten system, and that's what he also stands for. And we have to remove him. We cannot do patchwork and say, okay, we remove him as finance minister, but okay, you can stay in as a prime minister. It doesn't solve the problem. I'm sorry. He will still continue with his corrupt ways. So that does not solve our problem. He has to go. And the other one is that, after Najib comes down, what do? We have to continue striving for this institutional reform. If they do not give us, we will actually come out very strongly to revolt against it. That is a plan. Is that a guarantee? No, I cannot guarantee you anything. That immediately the reform will happen, immediately UMNO will go off, immediately we will have democratic reform. No, nobody in this room can actually guarantee you. But we can guarantee is that if we combine forces, we can make some change. So I'm just appealing that, can we take it step by step. And at every step, we will consult you. We will discuss with you how we should actually move forward. So the first step is let us work together, get the signature, get rid of this man. Because we cannot allow him to continue his crime in this country.
I'll just add. Hisham,
just
one point I forgot. I'm very sorry, Hisham. I just wanted to make one point which I forgot. On the reform agenda, I think someone said that people were interviewed and they're not so hot on, maybe Tun Mahathir, or someone was interviewed and they're not really talking about reform agenda. I think what you must know is this. As far as Maria, myself, Cynthia and Hisham are concerned, we are definitely pushing for the reform agenda. So will the opposition, members from the opposition. We will have to push. Some people may push for something more than others. Where we are concerned, we will push. That's the guarantee we can give you. We will push for the reform agenda.
Hello, yeah. Well, let me explain to you categorically why we fail to get in touch with the grassroots. I was the person responsible for mobilization Bersih 4. And I went to Alustar, I went to Ipoh, in fact, all the campaign I did in the West Coast. This is the time when there's a crisis in Pakatan Rakyat, there's a collapsing of Pakatan Rakyat, we fail, yeah? And on the very Wednesday, before the Saturday, a Chinese newspaper, I saw it at the airport, shown to me by a friend of mine who reads Mandarin. He said, look here, this is Chinese newspaper. In the Chinese newspaper, the front page was the view of the Kerajaan Malaysia, and the other side, the view of Bersih. This is where the Chinese population is well informed. The Chinese newspaper is well informed. Whereas the Melayu newspaper, dia menakut-nakutkan. The Malay were treated like mushroom. They were kept in the dark and fed with shit. So that's what happened. So yes, yeah, we are all, the Malays are mushroom. For 50 years, the Malays have been bongsified. Their brain have been bongsified. So that is why I told the Bersih people, Bersih 4 will not be Malaysia. They will say, what do you mean, Hisham? Will not be Malaysia because we will be overwhelmed by the Chinese under 25. True enough, it happened. It happened. And the next day, Mahathir came on that Saturday and the thing changes the next day. So we knew that. I observed there is the influential. Yes, you have not doing the campaign. We will not allow to go to Felda. This is where the grassroots is, where the Melayu kampung. We will not allow to go to the kampung. We have a close working relationship with PAS. Now we no longer have that. So this is where I'm telling you, we need the grassroots. We cannot have the grassroots. Ambiga or Maria will not be invited to speak to Felda. Not like another. Lim Kit Siang. Today, you have seen how our friend here, ex-UMNO, angkat Lim Kit Siang. Ini Cina dulu ni, Cina jahat dulu kan. Orang, it never happened. Tiba-tiba Cina jahat jadi Cina baik. Why? Because Cina jahat jadi Cina baik, Melayu jahat jadi Melayu baik. Because kita nak jatuhkan Melayu yang lebih jahat. So that is it. Okay? So you are clear. Okay. About apology. Biar saya ceritakan. On the second day of the meeting, Ambiga was here, Kit Siang was here, Maria here. And I almost, the Malay expression tersedak. I almost, but I'll be kurang hajar. The meeting with Dr. Mahathir. You know what he said? Kita ni, kalau kita macam rakyat di mana tu? Apa nama? Rakyat di mana? Apa nama? Di Mesir. Kalau nak jatuhkan detektor, Mahathir gunakan pakaian nak jatuhkan detektor. I was one to laugh, but I was a bit polite, So I did not laugh. Kalau kita nak jatuhkan detektor, takkanlah Ikhwan Muslimin tu nak masukkan ada agenda negara Islam, budak-budak muda tu tak support lah. So this is Mahathir in his mind. He talk. And then dia kata, this is exactly he said in Lokasi Kedah. Saya pun dulu banyak buat salah juga, tapi saya tahu bila nak berhenti. No, truly, ask them. And then depa ni, Najib ni, banyak buat salah tapi tak tahu bila nak berhenti. This is not my word, I'm quoting it, you know. So this is what happened. Of course, our friend, not everybody were there are only few of us there, but this is what he said. But for him to apologize, I really don't know. We wait for the Hari Raya lah. Kan orang Melayu, orang Islam ni minta maaf hari raya kan, hari baik bulan baik. So we check lah, lagi 4 bulan je, sabar. Okay. Tadi berita in the portal Malaysia Kini, Anwar Ibrahim said it categorically. I have no personal animosity with Mahathir or Najib. So this is a man who have been locked up so many times, so long time. So he said there's tidak ada permusuhan pribadi. There's no that. He's also hati besar, berjiwa besar. So that is why I hope all of us akan berjiwa besar dan tanda tangan deklarasi ini. Okay, now what is after Najib? Please. There is people, saya juga daripada gerakan reformis, dia orang mengutuk saya, kenapa tidak masukkan agenda Anwar Ibrahim, bebaskan Anwar Ibrahim. Okay, let me tell you, the deklarasi rakyat ni seperti deklarasi kita hendak pergi melawat Gunung Kinabalu di Sabah. 1 Gunung Kinabalu cantik, 2 Gunung Kinabalu macam ni, 4, 5, sampai nombor 35 itu. Kalau hendak ke Gunung Kinabalu, bawalah makanan, jagalah kesihatan. That is what it's all about. So all the 35 are the preamble. Kita tak masukkan banyak perkara. Ada perkara orang asli lah, ada perkara Anwar Ibrahim lah, ada perkara ni, ada saya pun nak kena tangkap lah ni. Nak Talman masuk jail pula kan, 9 bulan. Itu akta hasutan 1948. So there's so many. So we do not put it there. Easy say. So what is most important? One agenda. Nak jatuhkan orang zalim diktator lah. Itulah. So that is the agenda. So if Mahathir can say it out, we should say it out. So, okay. Now, tentang saudara tu tanya my theory of United Front. Orang kalau tak tahu sini, saya bagi tahu sikit lah. Teori United Front ni dia tanya, tahukah saudara Hishamuddin di dalam itu Loy Tak? Loy Tak ni ialah satu agent British, agent French dalam Parti Komunis Malaya, menjadi Secretary General. Okey, siapa yang tak tahulah. Saya tahu, Ronnie tahu, dia senyum je. Okey. Adakah saya tahu di dalam gerakan terbuka ini kita bukan ada satu Loy Tak. Kita ada berpuluh-puluh Loy Tak. We know there's many of them Loy Tak. I myself could be the real Loy Tak. For all you all know, I probably an agent of Vladimir Putin for all know. Except he haven't paid me lah. So this is the problem. So what if Ambiga say, at this stage, ketika kita berjuang ini, jangan buka banyak front. Is this front? We are not against all the UMNO. Bukan semua orang UMNO ni jahat. Bukan semuanya UMNO ni dapat kontrak. Bukan. Ada juga ketua bahagian boleh jadi dapat duit. Yang bawah-bawah tu tak dapat. So we could not have open all front. So be sensible. Be sensible and know the art of war. Saya dah cakap tadi, United Front, the theory of United Front is that at this stage, pada tahap ini kita bersatu padu dengan satu tujuan. We have really one aim untuk menjatuhkan. Why? Orang tanya, kenapa so important jatuhkan Najib? Najib ni seperti kata Maria, is the crystallization, symbolizes the power, kuasa yang dimiliki inilah mewakili kuasa semua-semua tu. Kalau Najib gugur to the reformist, saya kata ke sini, kalau ada reformist dalam sini, particularly saudara Ronnie tu kan, kalau Najib jatuh, saya begitu yakin sekali, siapa saja jadi Perdana Menteri ini, termasuklah Azlina kalau dia jadi Perdana Menteri. Apa sah kamu ketawa? Okey, janganlah ketawa. Azlina jadi Perdana Menteri, dia juga akan membebaskan Anwar Ibrahim. That is the only logical way. So this is the logics of politics. As Kit Siang say, everything is still dynamic. Okay, now, I hope as you go out, please sign the declaration. Thank you very much.
Okay, very hard to take the floor after Hisham, but there's two things I wanted to say about the reform agenda. 2 points. First is that we take heed of so many of the concerns about what's next. How do we take charge of the agenda, and have we been thinking about it? Yes, we have. As Ambiga said, we have been thinking about it. In fact, we have requested another powwow with Dr. Mahathir, specifically on the reform agenda, and specifically to put it on the table with him to be very clear about what is it that we want, what are the demands from the Rakyat, from the public, and how is it that we want to be in control of many of the things that we can take forward. And one of the things, I think Aliran wrote a brilliant article today. I'm not sure how many of you had a chance to read it, but one of the suggestions really was, let's not sit back and allow the politics and the politicians to run the course, but we take charge. And one of the many ways we can do this, of course, signing the declaration is the first step, but there are many ways we can lead, and there are many ways we can take control. One example is the argument for a tribunal, a people's tribunal. And this time, we want to take the bull by its horns on the 1MDB, for example, on the 2.6 billion. We want to have answers, because we have tried to get the Prime Minister to answer. He refuses to answer. He won't answer. And we also know MACC has done its investigations and so on. So we could actually create people's tribunal, resurrect interest, and keep the issue alive all the time. So the tribunal is really a coming together of voices to testify, to actually share information from inside, people who know some things that are going on, what kind of complaints have been lodged, what kind of investigations are taking place overseas, etc. These are things we can do. These are things we can actually take on while building the momentum around the Citizens' Declaration. So the opportunity is there, and I think we need some creative thinking as well on what other means and initiatives we can actually institute to get this going. So these are the two things I just wanted to stress, that this is not the time to actually lament and sit back, but we can do many things, and we can actually express our dissatisfaction, our unhappiness, and our lack of confidence through many, many forms. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Sebagai penggulungnya, seperti mana satu soalan yang tanya tadi, what's next after Najib? Saya rasa yang pentingnya pada hari ini kita harus fokus ke arah untuk nak bersatu padu, bersatu hati, kita bersatu padu di bawah payung deklarasi rakyat untuk jatuhkan Najib terlebih dahulu. Apa selepas Najib itu saya rasa jangan risau. Kerana negara kita tidak mempunyai ketandusan pemimpin-pemimpin baru yang lebih baik, yang lebih ikhlas dalam perjuangan. Ramai pemimpin-pemimpin baru daripada PKR, daripada DAP, daripada Amanah, kurang daripada PAS, dan ada juga daripada UMNO. Itu jangan risau, tuan-tuan. Dan perkara itu kita serahlah kepada statesman seperti Yang Berhormat Lim Kit Siang dan sebagainya untuk menentukan hala tujunya selepas Najib. Dan orang tanya lagi, apa kekuatan Tun Mahathir? Apa keistimewaan Tun Mahathir? Saya bekas pemimpin akar umbi UMNO. Saya berada di sini bukan niat untuk saya nak buat retorik politik. Tengku palsu Adnan Mansor, Setiausaha Agung UMNO, kata apa? Biar Mahathir seorang diri keluar daripada UMNO, hari-hari beratus orang, beribu orang masuk UMNO. Tuan-tuan, percayalah pada cakap saya. Saya adalah pemimpin di peringkat akar umbi. Setiap hari saya berjalan di seluruh tanah air, melawat setiap negeri. Pada hari ini saya berani kata secara terbuka, ahli-ahli UMNO di peringkat akar umbi sudah mula meninggalkan parti UMNO. Inilah dia keistimewaan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Dan sebagai bukti, tuan-tuan, Perkara ini berlaku di negeri Selangor. 3-4 hari yang lepas, kalau tuan-tuan ingat, mesyuarat cawangan-cawangan UMNO di seluruh negeri Selangor yang dirasmikan oleh Timbalan Perdana Menteri, hanya 53% saja kedatang, tuan-tuan. 47% lagi ahli-ahli UMNO tidak menghadiri mesyuarat tersebut. Inilah dia kesan dia apabila Dr. Mahathir mengumumkan untuk tinggalkan UMNO. Jadi saya nak terangkan kepada pemimpin-pemimpin pembangkang, pemimpin-pemimpin bangang UMNO, jangan cakap besar, tuan-tuan. Hari ini ahli-ahli akar umbi dah mula meninggalkan UMNO. Dan ada juga yang menanyakan tentang zaman Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Tuan-tuan, whatever we talk about Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, whatever remarks that we want to pass to Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, tuan-tuan, is a matter of facts. Pada zaman era 22 tahun kepimpinan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, kita semua hidup aman makmur, tuan-tuan. Ini hakikatnya. Dan pada zaman era kepimpinan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, ribuan, jutawan-jutawan mushrooming daripada kalangan orang-orang daripada bukan Melayu. Sehingga orang-orang Melayu sendiri mencemburui Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad pada waktu tersebut. Orang yang mengatakan bahawa it's time for the Malays to remove their stick, it was Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Orang yang menyuruh kita memberi subsidi, berhenti beri subsidi kepada bangsa Melayu pada waktu itu, ialah Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Orang yang berkata sudah tiba masanya untuk UiTM buka pintu kepada bangsa-bangsa asing, sejumlah 30%, tuan-tuan, adalah Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Beliau takbir ekonomi kita secara berkesan. Kita tidak susah pun, tuan-tuan. Ekonomi kita diakui di seluruh dunia. Kita maju pada waktu tersebut. Dan saya rasa, tuan-tuan, untuk Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad nak secara terbuka memohon maaf dan sebagainya, saya rasa tidak ada alasan. Tanya Dato Ambiga. Apabila Dato Ambiga berjumpa dengan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad akui secara terbuka kepada Dato Ambiga akan beberapa kelemahan ketika pentadbiran beliau. Beliau akui secara terbuka. Dan pada hari ini pun kalau tuan-tuan dengar ucapan-ucapan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad tidak menafikan bahawa di zaman pemerintahan dia ada kelemahan-kelemahan. Tetapi tuan-tuan, tidaklah seteruk seperti mana kita hadapi pada hari ini. Dan tuan-tuan, bercakap tentang UMNO, saya ahli UMNO. Saya dilahirkan dalam keluarga pejuang UMNO. Darah yang mengalir dalam tubuh saya adalah darah UMNO. Tetapi jiwa saya, tuan-tuan, adalah jiwa yang berhormat Lim Kit Siang. Sebab itu di dalam UMNO, saya seorang saja yang bangun, yang berdiri untuk lawan kemungkaran, lawan dengan Presiden UMNO, lawan isu 1MDB. Saya buat laporan polis, saya buat laporan SPRM, saya terbang ke luar negara, tuan-tuan, buat laporan kepada legal enforcement authorities di luar negara. Kerana, tuan-tuan, jiwa saya adalah jiwa yang berhormat Lim Kit Siang. Walaupun saya dalam UMNO, tidak semua pemimpin-pemimpin UMNO yang seburuk mereka, yakinilah, tuan-tuan. Dan atas dasar inilah, tuan-tuan, sebab itulah saya dengan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, kami umumkan secara rasmi, kami tinggalkan UMNO buat masa kini. Kami tinggalkan UMNO. Sebab itulah, tuan-tuan, sebelum saya berundur pada hari ini, pada malam ini, yang pentingnya, tuan-tuan, marilah kita semua bersatu hati untuk menjayakan deklarasi rakyat, kerana hanya deklarasi rakyatlah, tuan-tuan, yang bakal selamatkan negara kita. Sekiranya kita sayangkan kepada negara kita, bersatulah kita semua, tuan-tuan. Jangan cakap benda yang lepas. We look ahead positively. Dan sebagai penutupnya, tuan-tuan, mengenai isu Anwar Ibrahim, saya berada di penjara Sungai Buloh selama 5 minggu. Dengan izin Tuhan, saya tidak dibenarkan berjumpa ataupun bercakap dengan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim atas arahan Kementerian Dalam Negeri. Tetapi dengan izin Tuhan, pada suatu petang, saya tersempak dengan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Saya berjumpa dengan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, kami dapat bercakap lebih kurang 10 minit. Memang benar, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim berjiwa besar kini. Dia kata kepada saya, Din, antara saya dengan you, saya tidak ada simpan perasaan dendam, dan saya harap you pun samalah dengan saya. Dan memang benar, saya pun tidak pernah berdendam dengan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Dan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim pun menasihati saya. Dia kata yang lepas tu lepaslah. Apabila sekiranya you keluar, Din, cubalah cari jalan untuk kita satukan semula antara keluarga beliau dengan Tuan Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Ini saya nak terang secara terbuka. Saya pergi ke rumah Datuk Seri Wan Azizah. Saya cuba kontak YB Nurul Izzah. Saya pergi makan malam rumah adik Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Rosli, selama lebih kurang 3 jam. Saya berusaha dengan sedaya upaya, tuan-tuan, untuk bawa keluarga Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim jumpa dengan Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad setuju. Dia setuju. Kerana sudah sampai masanya kita nak bersatu hati, kita nak lupakan perkara-perkara yang lepas. Tetapi malangnya, tuan-tuan, tidak berlaku. Ini tidak kecapaian. Saya nak buat macam mana? Saya merendah diri, saya pergi rumah Wan Azizah, tak dapat berjumpa dengan beliau. Dan tuan-tuan ingat apabila bapa Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim meninggal dunia, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad dan Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah pergi melawat jenazah bapa Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Apa lagi yang kita nak buat? Nak suruh Tun Dr. Mahathir buat? Tun Dr. Mahathir sudah pun, tuan-tuan, meletakkan diri dia di peringkat sebawah-bawahnya. Beliau pergi to pay the last respect to the late father of Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. And I have been putting in effort, tuan-tuan, a vast effort to make it happen. But unfortunately, I want to say here, Datuk Seri Wan Azizah is a bit emotional. And I pray very hard to God the Almighty, I hope she could tone down. And kalau dia bersetuju, tuan-tuan, pada bila-bila masa, Tun Dr. Mahathir telah bersetuju untuk berjumpa dengan keluarga beliau. Dan sebab itulah, tuan-tuan, yang mana berada di Dewan ini, sama-sama kita berdoa. Ini semua orang tak tahu, rakyat tidak tahu. Tetapi saya tahu, kerana saya terlibat secara langsung. Sebab itulah, tuan-tuan, dalam apa jua keadaan pun, marilah kita bersatu hati, kita jayakan deklarasi rakyat ini terlebih dahulu untuk selamatkan tanah air kita. Sekian, terima kasih.
Terima kasih kepada semua panelis kita, to all the panelists tonight. Thank you so much to all of you. Just before you leave, reminder that you can sign the declaration. It's outside. You can also be a volunteer to collect the signatures. And if you wish to do that, you can volunteer yourself outside. And I just wish to end with this, and I like to use this quote, but I think it's really apt. It's a quote by Dumbledore, and he said this: "Dark times lie ahead of us. It will be time for us to choose between what is easy and what is right." Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now. You have to choose whether you want to take the easy way of not doing anything or the right thing by supporting.